So it's 7 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West, held in Council Chambers at 216 Main Street, Swan River. This 28th day of October 2025 at 7 p.m. Present this evening, Reeve, Gade, Councillors Zbirun, Kushniryk, McGregor, Blosha, and Neely. CAO Kristi, Ronnquist is here. Our videographer Jeremy Bergen's here. And if you're really good at listening, you know we missed one councillor from the list, which means we will start in at 1.2 today for notice of absence. Be it resolved. Notice of absence submitted by Councilmember Brian Burick regarding the regular meeting of Council held this 28th day of October 2025 shall be accepted as received. Moved by Councillor Blosha, seconded by Councillor Neely. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. To number 2 we go. Be it resolved, the agenda for the regular meeting of Council held this 28th day of October 2025 shall be adopted as presented. Is there a mover? Councillor Kushniryk, someone to second. Councillor Zbirun. Any additions Council wishes to look at for the agenda tonight? If you haven't updated lately, we were thinking up some here before the meeting, so we're now to 9.20 on the discussion list. If you haven't refreshed lately, you might want to see what the new stuff is. Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That too is carried. Number 3, we're adopting minutes. Be it resolved, the minutes of the regular council meeting held the 14th day of October 2025 be adopted as presented. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Neely. And I also see Councillor McGregor. Copy of the minutes is attached to the agenda. Has everybody had an opportunity to review them? Were there any errors or omissions? Does anyone wish more time? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. Now, you may have noticed we only did minutes for the council meeting, but not for the public hearing. Through our auditing, we discovered we did not pass one of the resolutions at the public hearing. So we need to do that now. So this is from the public hearing last meeting. We never called it to order. So the resolution is be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby calls to order the public hearing regarding RR2 zoning application for the property known as 547 Road 161 West, Swan River, this 14th day of October 2025 at 7:22 p.m. Is there someone who wishes to move that resolution? Neely, and seconded by McGregor. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor? That is carried. So that will go into the minutes of that committee, or that public hearing. Those will come forward at the next meeting for approval. Now that we've made it official that it got called to order. Number 4, the Public Works Report. A copy of that is also attached from our lead hand, I think late yesterday, early this morning. So in the case, mowing is almost done between Harlington Road and Thunder Hill Road. However, the Schulte has been down twice in the last week. The new mower has been taking out windows on the tractor. We're trying to find a cost-effective solution that will solve that. They're looking at some plexiglass for the problem with the new mower. The Schulte, they have broken 2 $1,800 shafts in 1 week. They're not happy. And they're looking at why that's happening all of a sudden, trying to resolve the issue. But they do have a new shaft was arriving today to get it going again.
Same operator all the time?
Yes. I think the lead hand is having some discussions with the operator about care and attention. Midnight Repair has fixed the garbage truck. We're hopeful this will be a long-term repair for it. We had been borrowing the town's garbage truck, which they're starting to get itchy about, but ours is working again, so it should be good to go. Road 169 from Penners to Ditch Road has had gravel applied double wide to help with the road surface. Hopefully the rain in the forecast will help it settle before freeze up, depending on local heavy traffic in the area during unfavorable conditions. You'll be hearing a lot about 169 in that area tonight. Scrap metal and tire recycling will be at the landfill for the next couple of weeks to clean that up. Landfill office is getting a renovation this week. We would like to know whose water tank is at Road 198 and 166 and why they chose to gift it to us at that particular location.
It's been there since spring.
Yeah, it's being removed.
Yeah, well, I was up there in August. It was there in August by Carrick's.
Yeah, that's exactly.
We also received a gift earlier this week of a refrigerator.
Huh?
which we removed from a ditch where we found it. About 4 miles from the Swan River landfill, where no doubt they found out they could not take it to.
Because it wasn't decommissioned.
So we have retrieved that. There's also a question here from Public Works wondering if any of you would like to go and play with some beaver dams before it freezes. Because they hope these beaver dams could have some folks with...
Tannerite?
We can't say tannerite during the meeting. It's the T word.
And I don't want any part of it unless...
Questions about the Public Works report tonight? I did spend about an hour with the lead hand earlier today discussing some of those points in more detail. Some of that stuff will go in camera, but feel free to shoot any questions you have. If I know, I'll tell you what the answer is.
Is he going to my ward to mow? Because this isn't for yet. And
that was last week's discussion,
and
because
it
he told me
hasn't
all
been
of where
mowed.
they've been, and I said, you know it's Ward 4, right? But she lives in Ward 3. Right, but
That's
she's
not-
worried about Ward 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It hasn't been mowed once. Because remember you said that you thought maybe August? No, it hasn't.
No? Okay.
Well, we got no snow yet, so we can keep on going.
I know, but every time I ask, it's always that
Yeah.
week, and it's not coming.
Oh, okay, well.
That's it. Thanks.
Anything else Public Works related? A note from our producer here. Tonight is Board of Revision. However, no applications were received for Board of Revision, so we're not doing Board of Revision tonight. In case you know your calendar's marked for that. Next up, Kevin Kostiuk is here. Kevin, come grab a chair.
Okay,
We've even got a nice one tonight.
I see that.
You're
Can I take it
filling,
home with me after the meeting?
you're filling some pretty big boots there, partner. No,
You know what?
So a little
Sitting across from you, Terry, I feel right at home, so.
So a little background, we've looked at this here briefly before. Kevin and I spoke some time ago in the spring about changes in driveway stuff, of course I had a plan. And then I think some confusion happened, and in the end we got a bill from Mr. Barkman for it. And so we've kind of been talking outside the meeting with Mr. Barkman, Mr. Kostiuk, a little bit about this and what to do and how we're gonna work this out. Earlier in the week, maybe late last week, Mr. Barkman kind of bounced it back and said, council's gonna sort this out. So Kevin is here tonight to kind of tell us his view of what's happened, and we're gonna figure out how to sort it out.
Well, I agree that there was a misunderstanding. The other thing is that, in my understanding at the beginning was that, you know, like the logistics was a part of it, and I knew that Jason did work for you, and I actually assumed that he did all your construction side of the business, but I didn't realize that until I talked to Kristi, right? I don't know how you want to resolve it. I would really like to see you guys hold up that end, even with the logistics, whatever it is. And I'll even make you a deal. I'll remove that tank along that shitty road. I went past it today when I went to the garbage dump, and I went, shit, it's still there. So I really don't have any much to add or to say to other than the fact that it was confusion. But the money that I actually spent on the equipment, the rental, and I still need actually a couple loads of dirt to finish off the ditch, which is actually in the RM's property, and I don't mind doing it. I don't know where I'm gonna get much of the dirt. I have some at home, a little bit, because I use dirt from, I call it my swimming pool, because that's all it's been for the last little while, right? So I still have an expense of cleaning that up, plus finishing the ditch off. So if you guys would look after the logistics of whatever that bill was, I'm fine to take care of whatever I have to finish off. And as I said, I will take care of that thing in the ditch for you, if you like, because I'm capable of doing it. So that's all I got to say.
What was your understanding of what the plan was in the beginning? Like, before we did this, what did you think was gonna happen?
Well, when I talked to you, right, we needed a drawing and a plan and to get together, and then you came by in the spring one time when I was pumping water across the road, right? So all really, you would, my expectation is what you said. You were gonna supply me a pipe, a 40-foot pipe, as a matter of fact, and look after the dirt work, right? Like the material. So in my understanding was that that material still had to come to my place, so that was part of the plan, was the logistics, right? And I would look after the construction end of it, right? Putting the pipe in, you know, I looked after the telephone, the locating and all that stuff, right? So I just assumed that's what was gonna take place, is what had transpired up until Jason handed you a bill, right? So, I guess what I'm asking is that, you know, I'd be much obliged if what I assumed, was the deal would be held up as it is today, right? You know, I don't know if that's much to ask or lots to ask, but, you know.
Who else has questions?
I guess what happened in the beginning there, Kevin, what exactly?
What was the problem in the beginning with the
Yeah.
ditches to begin with? Probably about the time 25 years ago, or maybe 27 years ago, when my parents first moved up there, they had changed the pipes in the road. But instead of actually doing it correctly, they buried half the pipe in the ditch. So right between the two driveways, and about 100 feet on each side, 80 feet maybe on one side and 100 feet, 60 on the other, they did this and then put the pipes in. So I only had half a pipe. So the water would come and it would have to be this high before it actually went through the pipe. And then when it did drain out the far end of it, to where it's supposed to go to the east, I was always left with 150 feet of water in the ditch, 2 feet deep, because they just gouged it out, right? So that's where all the fill come. I took one approach out. I actually put that dirt from that approach into the ditch, just so I could raise it up, and then I had 3 loads of clay brought in to build the approach just to where the culvert level is. So on the west side, I left it, it still needs about that much fill for about 60 feet in the ditch bottom to bring it up level with the culvert, right? But the water at least comes that far and then runs away from the property, right? So if I filled that up, it would be
Keep on.
clear sailing, and yeah, like, I mean, it's always been a problem that this is the first year this spring with the thaw that we had, was the first time I've actually seen the water come across the road to the west of me, straight on the line. It would always go to the north, right? Like, it ran across and it washes it out religiously every spring, right? But it was the first time the water came that way. But there's always a conglomeration, and I'm kind of in the middle. It was like 15 feet from the house when I was pumping it over the road when Bill come by in the springtime, right? So I wanted that taken care of, because I'm just tired of looking after the property and make sure that. So, I mean, you know, to my understanding, the material and logistics were part of our agreement, and I looked after the dirt work like I said I would, or the equipment part of it, and that, so.
And what had been intended was that we would haul that stuff out there.
Oh,
And-
we would haul it ourselves.
Right.
But then he called Barkman, not thinking that Barkman
Oh,
was
I
us, right?
see.
And so Barkman called the lead hand and said, hey, he needs this material right now. And the lead hand said, well, we're busy right now, we're doing this other project. Oh, well, do you want me to take it there? He said, well, do whatever you want. Okay.
Oh, I see.
And so he took the material out there and then sent a bill for it.
Well, I kind of feel foolish for being here at the moment for this reason, right? But I still feel that was one end of the agreement and one end of the agreement, right?
Yeah,
So,
I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's a confusion thing.
Yeah.
You know, because yes, it is exactly what the plan was.
So
It's
if we
just
were to,
Barkman got
if we
billed
were
for
to
it.
cover this invoice, we wouldn't be able to hold them on, because we would have to pay to do it anyway.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Our guys would have had to do it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometime.
well, there's the other thing, was that I had a time frame with the hole, right? To get it done, and like, not knowing that Barkman wasn't, you know, one of your regular type things. So it kind of worked out that way, right? That's when I phoned him and said, yeah, he said, yeah, I'll bring it, so.
Okay.
So maybe I was wrong in taking it upon myself to phone Jason, but once again, I was under his, and I knew he didn't work for you, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm not trying to hang anybody or hold anybody responsible. I just am asking that if you hold up your end of the bargain, I tried to do mine, right? So if you wanna hang me, I guess I have to crawl in that culvert for the winter.
Do we need anything else from Kevin while he's here? We've got all the questions answered, folks have. Perfect. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, so I'll hear from you again
We'll
sometime.
hear from Kristi probably tomorrow.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate you guys taking the time to hear me out and I must add to this is, I've only been here in this area for 14 years, but I think this council that I've seen in the last, I don't know how long you've been in term even, but
3 years.
3 years.
3 years, there you go. Well, I was gonna say, it's gotta be at least a couple. Muchly improved and muchly appreciated by myself, and I'm sure others may feel the same way in the community, right? And they see the difference. I know they do, because I talk to enough of them that say, well, at least we can drive on our damn roads now, and we can get most of the places we're going. So thank you again for your time, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
See you, Phil.
Let's proceed on to 8.1, General Cheques. Be it resolved, the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. General Cheques number 20853 to 20880, the amount of $1,973,822.95. And pre-authorized debits number 2025-036 to 2025-039, the amount of $7,186.38 for a grand total of $1,981,009.33. Is there someone to move the resolution?
Terry, yes, too much.
Councillor Neely and Councillor Kushniryk. I have the checks. The big one, as you can imagine, is the school division. That's why the number's so big. What other questions do we have?
20879.
20879.
What number, Carrie?
20879, like
Oh, okay.
it's a taxes one, but I just
20879.
wondered,
Oh, yeah, I was gonna
what's
ask.
that about?
I was gonna ask
It's
about
usually
that
the-
one too.
That usually isn't that, yeah, but usually these taxes aren't that high.
Must be a couple of years.
Yeah, I know, because I was like, that's not one.
So
year.
this is the current taxes, don't stop me if I'm wrong, right? Current taxes, but both the bank and the resident paid the taxes because they didn't realize the bank was paying it on their behalf. So yes, that is their tax bill.
Okay,
That's 1 year.
Okay.
So, but yeah, they paid it and the bank paid it, so we're refunding.
okay. Yeah, I was just thinking, gee, that's,
Yeah, that was, you know, that's quite a bit.
The very next check, 20880, is a supplemental tax refund. But it's being paid out by check because they no longer own property, so they can't do credit or anything, it has to go by check. What's next? Uh-oh.
Oh,
You guys are kind of boring if you only pick up 2 checks.
they weren't that much of a list this time.
Well, I guess. It just seems big because of the school version. We ran numbers earlier before we did that school version check. Because we were only required to pay them the percent of taxes we've actually received. It appears we've received about 91% of taxes. So we're paying them 91% of what we owe. But- Which is pretty good. Got that much in already.
yeah, for this time of year, so.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. 8.2, payroll checks. Be it resolved, the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. Payroll payments number 975 to 991 in the amount of $29,066.82. Is there someone who cares to move the resolution? Councillor Blosha, who would like to second? Councillor McGregor, copy of the payroll amounts is attached in the private view. Does anyone have questions or comments on those? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. 8.3, budget report is attached. We don't have a resolution for it, but a copy is there for you. Notice we have it the right way up. Kind of proud of ourselves that we got it to not be crooked this time.
Sweet. No.
I know. Things are fairly good. There's a little bit of adjusting we need to do. I see a couple line items that are in the wrong spot still, but we'll fix that up. But for the most part, excepting of course the fact we still owe the school division another 9%, we are at the moment still showing a budget surplus, which is nice with a couple months to go. Hopefully we don't blow it all. Any questions on that? As always, you're welcome to call, text, visit, whatever, if you come up with questions later on. Shall we go to discussion items? We have 20 of them tonight, because we thought it sounded like a boring meeting until then. We'll start 9.1. Now this is titled Spruce Products, but it's a little more complicated than that. So we've issued a supplemental tax notice to Spruce Products. They chose to allow the use of their property by the Animal Protection League. So the Animal Protection League built their new building out there by Spruce Products. It's on, is it officially on? Maybe it's not. What do we call that road? We gave it a name.
Oh,
Yes. You know the one.
Dick Walker.
Dick Walker Lane.
Or the,
It's the other one.
no,
Oh, it's Tunison.
Susan, yes.
Yeah.
Susan Drive or something.
Mhm.
Yes.
Tunison, yeah.
So that's where the new thing is. It's been assessed at $107,500. Because Spruce Products owns it, and because it's not a house, that is commercial property. So there's a tax bill for it. And the taxes we're adding to their roll for that facility total $1,037.26 of our share. Plus then they owe school taxes. So the total tax bill for their generosity of allowing the Animal Protection League to use some of the land is $2,446.06, which has given them some heartburn when they've allowed a nonprofit to have a building there that they have a tax bill of $2,500. So we did take this up with the assessment office and asked a bunch of questions around what could be done to exempt that property that is the Animal Protection League. And the answer is nothing unless we own it. So if Spruce Products gifted the property to us, it would be exempt. There'd be no school taxes, there'd be no municipal taxes. They don't particularly wish to gift the property to us, which I'm not surprised, but I did offer up as an option. So the only other option we have to help them is to grant them back the same amount of their taxes, but we would likely not grant the school taxes, we would only grant the municipal taxes, so the $1,037. But that opens an interesting can of worms too, because they're not the only nonprofit that is paying taxes. So attached to the agenda tonight is a tax bill for the museum. Now they, because they're a museum, pay no school taxes, but their municipal taxes are $4,400 a year for the museum, which every year we charge them and collect it from them. The Thunderhill Ski Club's in kind of the same boat. They too own a building. It, in this case, is on land they lease from us, but they own the building, not us. So they pay $4,000 of taxes a year, a little bit of which is school taxes, $3,500 is municipal taxes. So I promised the folks from Spruce Products we would discuss tonight what, if anything, we were willing to do for the Animal Protection League tax bill, but what we do for one, it would be hard not to do for the others when they're in the same boat. So we wanted some opinions tonight from around the table of what you think we should do.
we give them all grants, don't we?
We don't give
Not the
Thunderhill a
Animal
grant.
Protection League.
Thunderhill gets no grant, but we provide service. We plow their roads and such. Animal Protection League, we give nothing. The museum, we give a grant that was always in theory been intended to cover off the price of the insurance.
Oh, it's insurance.
But we've always just charged them the taxes.
So we do something the same for the protection league?
Well, and this is why I put the three notices there together, so that
But
Yeah, we
it's
don't make a
Spruce-
decision on the
it's Spruce
first one.
Products paying the bill, not Animal Protection. So if you gave that amount to Animal Protection, they'd have to go pay it to Spruce Products. That's kind of
there's some logistics. We could make it a condition of the grant. You know, if we want to waive it, we would just say we'll give this, but it has to come back. Whatever. It can be worked out. But the bigger picture question is, if we're going to say, okay, we're not going to charge property taxes on this nonprofit, how do we charge them on those other two?
And how much are we giving the museum?
Museum would be
Yeah.
$8,000,
Yeah,
which
charge
is a
one
little
and then-
less
Wow,
than the
the
insurance costs.
insurance at the museum is what, 8,000?
Yeah, the grant doesn't quite cover the insurance.
So it's Spruce Products that's actually paying the taxes, right?
No one's paid it yet.
Yeah,
but
but I
it'll be
mean-
Spruce Products that has to,
Yeah.
yes, because it's their property. And I think, from what I can understand, they probably technically own the building too. Like Animal Protection put it there, but I don't know that there's anything, I could be correct on that, but I don't think Animal Protection technically owns that building.
How can they put it there if they don't own the property?
People do things all the time.
How-
That's called faith.
Easier to get forgiveness and permission to get?
My view would be waive all three, but I'm pretty easy sometimes when it comes to nonprofits thinking of supporting them. But what does everybody else think?
Well, we support the other ones in a way, the other two already.
Yeah, like we gave Thunder Hill a big grant.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. To a
But
di-
like-
To a different tune than
Like
this one,
he's
that's
saying,
the only
yeah.
problem, how do you work it out so that,
It's money well spent. I mean, it's helping the community. It's
yeah, we're not arguing that fact, it's just how do we do this? Cause one, we're covering the insurance, now we're gonna cover the taxes on another one, so. Or,
You
we're
would have to-
talking about it.
You'd have to just do the animal protection as a dollar grant. We're gonna give you X amount of dollars in the purpose of to cover your taxes.
yeah.
Thunder
Yeah,
Hills
it would
received-
just go on our grant list,
Yes,
right?
yeah, just like a hall or whatever
Yeah.
else.
I would suggest we would make some sort of agreement that said that the amount will be set by what the tax owing is.
Yeah, always
Yeah.
You know,
matching.
so it matches it every year. And give it, I don't know, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever you want to do for it.
But then they gotta make darn sure
Come back to,
that they pay Spruce Products and.
well, and we can sort out the logistical details of how it works. I'm confident we can do that, but we need a base decision of what are we doing?
Can we not word it so we're just granting the money to Spruce Products on behalf of animal protection? We just cut the check direct.
Don't worry about the weeds of how that works, figure out if they get a grant or not.
Yeah. Well, I'm in favor of doing something like that, but
Yeah.
I don't know like Kevin says, the logistics,
Yeah.
well, not
We
logistics, but
we
the
can get that sorted
procedure.
out, we just need to know the
Procedure,
answer, what you wanna do.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the decision on the other two? Are you saying we do it for animal protection but not the other two?
The other ones we're already giving them grants.
Just need to know the answer, so we know the
Well,
answer.
we're already giving them grants.
Okay.
This is just an additional grant, it's in a little different form than what we're doing with the other folks.
Okay,
I think that would be the fairest way for everybody, wouldn't it? Just call a question and see what happens.
we're going to have to create the document and bring it back.
Okay.
So I don't think we can vote on it tonight, we just need that direction
No,
of what
just
you
that-
want the
that
document
We're
to
all
say.
in favor of doing something,
Yes.
I believe. Well,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
agree? I think everybody.
So we're going to grant whatever the taxes are on that animal protection building, we will intend to grant that back to essentially make it so there's no tax.
One way or the other,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
one, yeah.
No changes to Thunder Hill or the museum.
I would think not, because we already give them grants.
Just making sure I know what we bring.
I don't know, what does everybody else think?
Are we gonna get into trouble over this?
Which part?
Always in trouble.
See what happens, the way we just said.
Animal protection always should have been on the grant list anyway. and
Yeah.
This is a good way to give back.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying we're not doing it, but I'm just, the other two.
Well, we're giving them money too, though.
Yeah, like
We are.
we could revisit those two at budget time, right? Because we already approved
Yeah.
X
That's
amount
right.
for them.
That's right.
And I feel like animal protection should be getting money from Swan and Bozeman and everybody else.
Everybody else too,
because
yeah.
Everybody's area calls in pets to these people. But,
Yeah, it's a community
Let's,
thing.
let's do what we said, and we can revisit this, like you said, at the next budget, we can revisit this and decide whether we wanna do more or whatever we wanna do.
Okay, So when it comes to budget time, when we're doing it actually at budget time, the math works out better. Because then it, balances each other out, right?
Yeah.
Because essentially we just, not technically how it works, but it's like we reduce the assessment by that amount. So it's easier to do a budget time for the other ones if we're gonna do something. So we will bring paperwork for next meeting to give a grant to Animal Protection League through some method that makes that tax bill get paid.
Okay.
We will make it so. 9.2. You'll recall we had a G4 meeting at the Big Woody Hall a few months ago. And after the meeting, we were having some discussion with them, and I said, like we sometimes do something for Durban, we do something, like, how are you guys doing as a hall? Is everything okay? And they said, that's fine. I said, you never need anything else, nothing's good, because the roof looks a little, nope, the roof is fine, we have a plan for that, it's all good. And I said, well, if you ever need anything, give us a call.
Yeah.
So they called.
Got the call.
We got the call. So they do have to fix the roof. There's a quote here from them for materials and installation. Materials a little over 10,000, installation just a touch under 7, bringing the total amount to, I don't think it actually says the total.
17,000.
Yeah, about 17,000. And I don't know that they said pay for the whole thing. They said, could you guys help us out? Because it's kind of a big deal for their hall. The roof has begun leaking.
Well, we don't have many halls left. And we did say something to them, didn't we?
Well, and rightly so, like we helped out Durban when they needed some help.
Yeah.
and
Well,
We
we
tried
put a
to,
$10,000 door on.
yeah.
I'm in favor of doing something here.
Name a number.
To what tune, I don't know.
How much do we want to give? You want to give the whole or half or the whole? Just half. Can we split half, do 5 this year, 5 in the next budget? They're not gonna have this fall, they're not doing it, are they?
I
It's
don't know.
currently leaking right
Yeah,
now.
so probably do it this fall.
They wanna do it this fall?
I don't remember when we last did anything for this.
Well, we gave a grant every
Yeah,
year.
grant, yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
we do
the
that
normal
for
grant, but
all,
nothing
I mean,
capital.
anything,
No,
capital projects like that.
How are we sitting? Like, if we give them half now and then half at the next budget, would that work, or?
If you wanted to give them a lot of money, I would direct you to the RCMP GIS budget line. That has been unexpended this year.
That
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
sound
fine.
very optimistic.
Well, what we told the G4 is they're not spending money until March. So that'll be in next year's budget. So that line is,
So I'm gonna be bold and say we give them $15,000.
You know what? Honestly, the question always comes, what do they want us to do in the north?
Mhm.
What's 15 versus 17?
That's right.
No, might as well pay the works.
Yeah, you give them a roof and there you go.
See, well, I'm working like an auctioneer here.
There's the plan.
Maybe they need some new grounds maintenance stuff, we'll just go call it 20.
okay.
All right, we'll stop at 17. What we've learned here is when Brian isn't here, more happens for the north.
Yeah.
Well, look at what's happening in his ward today.
Exactly.
so I want to understand, are you talking 17 or are you talking the exact number? 'Cause I need to know for the
Exact
resolution.
number, a
Yeah,
quoted number.
Exact number.
So it'll be
17.
$17,089 and 1 cent.
$17,089.01.
Yep. Thank you.
I only licked them once.
Okay.
Be resolved, the municipality of Small Valley West contributes $17,089.01 to the capital upgrade of the roof of the Big Woody Community Hall. Is it hall or center?
Center.
Center?
I think it's all, that
Oh.
layer.
Oh, so hall. Moved by Councillor Neely, did I see? And seconded by Councillor McGregor. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. 9.3, purchase Crown Land landfill. Province of Manitoba has been in touch with us. They are in the mood to sell Crown Land. We currently hold a lease on the landfill property in Benito. They wish to sell us that property or wish to know if we want to purchase it. And we may want to do that, but we also asked them, how would we get a little more? Because if you're in the mood to sell Crown Land, we'd be in the mood to buy a little more so we can make that landfill bigger. So they're currently doing some research. They've given us some guidelines of how we would submit a request for that. We wanted to ask about the purchase part of it. Are you interested in purchasing that land instead of paying lease on it every year? I assume the answer is yes.
Yeah, but enough room, buy enough, and we're good for,
Well, we're gonna have that talk with them because we already started looking at some maps, so we will tell them we want to expand, we'll try to expand, but we'll also say we will purchase this whole thing. Okay, we will work on that. 9.4, cold storage building, or as the case may be, warm storage building.
maybe.
Maybe. So you saw the one quote already, we received a second quote, there's some major differences in these quotes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yes. So the GY contracting quote is for a total of $12,000, but it does not include the roof. It's only the walls. Because he is of the feeling that we would be better off instead drywalling and blowing insulation into the roof because it would be cheaper than spray foam on the roof. He also proposed doing 1-inch silver board and 2 inches of wall tight because he said if anything ever goes wrong with the tin and you have spray foam directly onto the tin, you ain't getting it off.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But if you put the board first and then spray foam over it, you can still remove tin if you need to. The other quote that we received was from Kiefer, and that's what council's seen before, and it looks like it's 80,000, but it's really not. It's 30,000 or 45,000, depending on 2 inches or 3 inches. This includes the ceiling. But before we make any decisions on that, the great discussion has kicked off in the Public Works Department about what the plan is for the building. So I've explained at length that we have talked about and are fairly certain that we wish to store the graders in there for the winter in a temperature that's not -40 but isn't +20 either, so that we have the shop available for doing repairs and Sean can work and fix all the mowers and fix all the everything. That isn't being received very well by Public Works. They feel they wish their graders to be at a minimum of 20 degrees Celsius when they're stored. And so they want to heat that building to 20 degrees Celsius, not just keep the chill out. I've pitched that we keep the building at -5 degrees and plug the graders in. But they say that would not allow the snow and ice to melt off and would be harder on the machines. They also wish to install a concrete floor and fans and a bunch of other things, which would probably come between $200,000 and $300,000. Because they wish to put 200,000 BTU of heat into it to melt the snow off the graders. Whereas I kind of want to put just enough heat to have it be -5, when it's -40 out. So the whole problem is now in your lap to talk about for a while. What do we want to do?
1 inch of silver board with 3 inches of foam, so if we ever choose to heat it in the future, we can to a higher degree and not call it a day. And we're gonna spend $300K on it tonight.
I guess holistically, but the reason we started down this path was to get the graders out of the heated shop. So the heated shop is available for work. Because right now, the scenario would be that when the graders go out in the morning, we can put a piece of equipment in the shop, but we can only do anything to it that we can have it put back together and removed by 3 o'clock. So it gives us about an 8-hour window to work on the equipment, and then the equipment has to get removed from the shop so the graders can go back in, which we all know is crazy. There's a lot of repairs we can't do in 8 hours. So then we would have to put the graders someplace else. Now, it's not to say they can never go in the shop, but we were in the shop when the graders were in there. That's why we took our little tour. There's no room to do nothing in that shop when those graders are in
Hard to
there.
get by the grader.
Yeah. So that was where we came up with this. And this is what we all talked about in the spring, was that we would then just park the graders in the cold storage for the winter. We didn't.
I don't understand what has to thaw out. on the grader.
I don't present to be a grader expert, but my tractor doesn't get to go inside.
Bush equipment doesn't get that, nothing. I mean, I don't know,
One of
I'm just
the,
saying.
one of the things I was told was, well, we'd have to let them warm up for 20 or 25 minutes before we could go, if they're just plugged in. And I said, we let them warm up for 45 minutes now when they're in a heated shop.
Yeah.
So what's the difference of 25 minutes when they're not in a heated shop? That actually sounds faster. I get in trouble because they watch the meetings and then they get mad at me. But it's true, those graders don't leave for 45 minutes in the morning. So,
Well, there'll be no
I got
cement
nothing.
floor, that's for sure, not quickly anyway. Not for 300 grand.
cement floor would probably be around 80, a little more than the insulation, but then the heat going in and they want fans, they want everything. Which, if you put the heat in, yeah, you're gonna have to do that stuff. But if we keep it just below freezing,
Well, you're gonna put in floor heat then, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you do the cement.
and that building was never really designed to be heated. So you still
No.
run all those little issues of, it didn't have the proper foundation and it doesn't really have any frost shielding and such. So what do you want to do?
Well, we got nowhere to fix anything.
Nope. I asked for options. I asked them, okay, so if we leave the graders in the shop, where are we gonna fix stuff? And they said, well, in the Durban shop. Okay, I said, where are we putting those graders? Well, outside.
The Durban ones
Yes.
go outside.
And I said, but there's no shelter there for them. They're sitting in the snowbank. At least here we can put them in the shelter. Well, yes, this is better. At least we agree on that.
Okay, so insulation is our first step, right?
Well, first step is, are we still committed to putting the graders in that building for the winter? And I think I'm seeing the answer is yes.
Yeah.
So then the next question is, should we insulate it so we can keep it a little bit warmer in there than -40 on the coldest days? Because it's gonna keep the wind off them, the snow off them already. But if we insulate it, that gives us a chance to adjust the temperature some. So do we wish to insulate it?
Well, I think we have a plan to move forward a bit at a time here.
Well, we may well put heat in it someday.
So we have to start somewhere.
So on the type of insulation, 2 inches or 3 inches, that basically depends on how much you're thinking you might heat it someday. The more the merrier if you're heating it to a really warm temperature. If you're just keeping it a little bit warm, it's not so critical. And the ceiling, spray foam or drywall and blow-in insulation. We don't have a quote for doing that part yet. We would have to go back and quote that because we didn't realize that was going to be, that the one quote was going to depend on also having a price for that.
So these ceiling and walls.
I feel like that's what we did in our shop the second one.
Drywall and blow-in. Or
Like
spray
put
foam the whole thing.
Put the silver board in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So what Glenn's proposing is the equivalent of 3 inch?
Yes. But no ceiling comparison, so there's gonna have to be the whole ceiling done yet too.
Yeah, well, where's the ceiling? Oh, the ceiling's here, yeah.
And so no written down quotes, just guesstimating, probably save a few $1,000s doing the ceiling that way.
To go with the drywall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can't promise that till we get quotes, but
Well,
that's the
it'll
thought.
likely be 60% of the cost of foam, I'm gonna guess.
And it would cut off the top of the building then, so the heat we did have wasn't up that high.
I'm just trying to determine who's the best deal here, then it's a little hard to figure, eh?
I think you may have to figure out what you want done, and then we may have to go requote.
Yeah, we might have to
Because
recode
it's
it
too hard
because
to tell from these.
they're too different
Yeah.
to pick.
But if you
Yeah, I like-
pick what we want done, we'll go back to them both and say, okay, this is exactly how we want it done, we need a new number.
I like Glenn's idea, but
Okay, so silver board.
yeah,
And then 3 inches total, so 1 inch silver board, 2 inches foam.
yeah.
Do we wanna quote 3 inch just in case or no?
But that is 3 inch.
But the extra inch would
Oh, to go 4 inches?
go, is that
The
silver board the same
Silver
R
board
value?
is insulated.
It's gotta have some kind of
Same- so
R
same R
factor.
value?
Yeah.
Okay, so it'd be equal to 3. So I like the 3. So if you went with the drywall and the insulation blowing in versus foam, for, you get a leak, you're gonna redo the ceiling. With the foam, I don't think you'd have to, right?
Well, that foam is waterproof and airproof.
Yeah, it's not gonna ever wear, it's not gonna get mold, it's not gonna... I like the cutting the ceiling height down, but I think long-term, any foreseeable problems, the foam would be more trouble-free. I think, I don't know.
So when they put that foam in, I'm not real familiar with it, so what do you put up there to cover your foam?
I think it's just exposed.
Yeah.
You see the paint it in some buildings, it's just a rough textured,
It's paintable. That foam is
I think
paintable.
so.
You can
Yeah.
paint it, I
We
don't think you have
cover,
to.
in your shops, you always cover it with tin. You don't leave
With
it
tin.
exposed.
Okay, that was
I've
my-
never, like,
was my
any of the
question.
shops that I've seen it go in, it's not exposed, it's, you
Covered.
tin over it.
The foam is covered up.
Yeah, you
On
tin
the
over the
ceiling.
ceiling and walls.
Yeah, no, the
You don't
walls.
leave it exposed.
No, I meant the wall, yeah, the
Yeah.
walls, I could see we have to put something on the walls afterwards.
Yeah.
They wouldn't
The
necessarily
ceiling
have to
I'm
go
wondering.
on right now, they could go on
Yeah,
next
later.
year.
What was that?
Well, we foam it now, you don't necessarily have to put that inside tin on until next year.
Yeah,
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 you can
well,
look at
that's
the foam
something
for a
we
while.
can do later.
It's just to make it look.
Another
great.
thing we need
Yeah.
to look at, if we're gonna foam it, we should, do some wiring in there. Get some plugins in on the walls and stuff
Before.
like this. Yeah, before the foam goes through,
A
so.
lot easier before.
Yeah, there's another expense that's gonna be,
Yeah, otherwise, yeah, because then you got a conduit and all that kind of stuff.
You couldn't just surface mount your electrical after?
well,
Yeah,
but
but
then
you-
you need conduit.
You have to
know.
use conduit and
Uh-huh.
all that.
You'd rather have it...
Rather than just run the
Yeah.
wire through the walls, you
Yeah.
gotta start bending pipes and doing all kinds of stuff. It's a little more labor intensive and more material
Yeah.
cost too.
What say you all?
Well, let's get apples to apples.
Yeah,
1 inch board, 2 inches foam, foam ceiling as well.
yeah, I think so.
And if they could break the foam ceiling down, like, I guess if we're gonna do it, we gotta do the ceiling, everything all at once anyways, right? So, yeah, okay.
Okay, we will find those numbers. You will likely hear from us outside of the meeting with what those numbers are. Looking for a decision so we don't wait 2 more weeks as it gets colder.
We'll hear when.
You'll probably hear from us in a couple days by text message or phone call or something.
Oh,
Just saying, hey, here's what the numbers are. What do you think? So we get some direction. 9.5. This is a request that's been bouncing around for a while. Councillor Blosha has brought this to us several times. So Derek and I went out there and met with the landowner. This is for the landlocked quarter by Thunder Hill. We looked at every single possible way to get road access to that quarter. Gardner. We
I brought it up.
yeah. We have ruled out all but from the north. The correct way is from the north. It will require a little bit of road building. As he says, he doesn't want a highway, he just wants access. There is a snowmobile trail that used to go through there, so there is some path through the bush. But there's some pretty serious question about where the road allowance is and where the fields are, because it's all bush. So what's presented tonight is a quote for surveying to have the road allowance marked, so that we would actually know where the road is and not put it on the wrong piece of property, which is probably an important part of building a road.
which is this garden? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a $4,900 expense from the surveyors. We only have 1 quote so far. We can see more if you want, but These are the folks that usually come over and do the survey, Vulcan and Cheques, whatever they're called. So what's council's thoughts on this?
That's, there's some landlocked property in there, you can't. Well, we better put the road in the right place if we're gonna do a road.
I agree completely.
If we don't, everybody will follow us then.
It's pretty hard to sell a piece of property when you can't get into it,
Yeah.
and I don't blame them. Like,
We spent some time out there with them and we looked at, some years ago, the RM of Swan River punched a private road through to access some of the property and caused some heartache in doing it because they cleared too much land and they put the road there and then they failed to put the road on the map. So even though we built the road, we have never gone back to it since then to maintain the road. But technically we own that road and then abandoned it. So we probably have to put the road on the map as an actual road and actually start looking after it. Because we were on it with 4x4 and could barely get down it. Even though we built the thing and then forgot it.
But it's going across private property.
It is, but I think we bought the property is what they're trying to explain.
Oh.
But we've got to check in on making sure that actually happened and did the title transfer, was it surveyed off? Because there's some questions about all of that. But that, irregardless, that's one of the accesses is to come down that road. But then you have to build that road across an entire quarter of farmland to take that much more farmland. Whereas coming from the north, you're basically coming through trees. We walked the north route to see how wet it was after the rain and it wasn't too bad. It would need a pipe in at the bottom of the low spot, there's a little run there. But otherwise, we could dig a road through there pretty easy. Put a little gravel on it, have something to pass farm equipment.
It's just a farm access road.
This was the email that came in, just talking about that's the way I was reviewing it more.
We know where one is. There's the email has more details here saying they can't find monuments around there. They might have to find monuments too. But I think we know where the one monument is, so hopefully that's not as big a deal. But there could be a surprise there if we can't find where to start from. This tends to happen sometimes.
Well, where would the next one be?
I guess wherever they could find it.
No, the next
West Provincial Road is pretty close
starting
there.
point, the next starting point, where would that, you know?
I would think they would go to the east of the Provincial Road because they're about a mile off it. They go as far as they have to go to find one for sure.
And that's gonna increase that cost.
Hopefully they find the one that's supposed to be there.
This has been going on longer than most of us have been around here, so
oh,
I guess it's about
but I've been
time something
I've been
happened.
bringing it back for 3 years, so
No, but
I've been trying.
Yeah,
Actually, probably 4 years, but
Do you have a land?
Better do
description
something about it.
of that?
we got a year left.
So we're gonna cover that for the surveyors, right?
we cover those for other things
Oh, I
anyway.
mean, we have to, we can't put the road in the wrong place.
But we need to get him access in there,
10, 36.
because he's driving across other people's land, which is no good either.
No.
It's okay until lot changes hands. Then you got issues.
Be resolved, we conduct a survey to mark the road allowance for Southwest 103629 in preparation for building an access road to a landlocked property. Moved by Councillor Blosha, seconded by Councillor Neely. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. 9-6, 95 Main Street. One proposal's attached. We are expecting a couple more to appear here shortly. We, as you know, have been doing a little promotion of the former M&M Cafe. And you'll see the one proposal that's attached deals with crickets and farming them. Kristi and I went out, took this gentleman for an actual tour of the property. He's the only one that's come out for a tour so far. He looked at it, he touched it, he measured it, he poked at it. He said, this is in much better shape than I thought it would be. This would be perfect for what I want to do.
Which place is it?
M&M
M&M.
Cafe.
Oh, okay.
So he would not be using it as a cafe, but as an agricultural venture to grow crickets for pet food. He says it would have one full-time equivalent job. What we told him and have told others is that we will make a decision at the first meeting in November. So, if we're
So you're
getting-
expecting a couple more
There's
proposals?
a couple more
Oh,
supposed to be coming.
Is there a noise bylaw? Crickets, no crickets make noise.
Just keep the lights on, it'll be fine. 9.7, unsightly property, derelict structures, community standards bylaw. You may recall what we've talked about for months now. So this is going for second reading and with some discussion. Be it resolved that bylaw number 011625, being a bylaw for the municipality of Swan Valley West, known as the community standards bylaw, be read a second time this 28th day of October 2025. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Blosha, who would like to second? Councillor McGregor. Copy of the bylaws attached. This is unchanged since we last met here and reviewed it for first reading. Did anyone have additional changes, discussion, thoughts they want to make different here? It's a good time to tell us about it now. Would have been better a couple days ago, but we'll still take it now. Anything from anybody? Councillor Zbirun, you're making noises like you have something to say.
No.
Okay, let's check it.
Too many smarties.
All right, hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That is carried. 9.8, you may have heard of a bylaw called the Community Standards Bylaw. Be it resolved that bylaw number 0116-25, being a bylaw of the municipality of Swan Valley West, known as the Community Standards, shall be read a third time this 28th day of October 2025. Be it further resolved, the bylaw be signed by the Reeve and signed and sealed by the Chief Administrative Officer. There's someone who wishes to move the resolution. Councillor Kushniryk and Councillor Neely. Any discussion on this?
Do we have to have a recorded vote on this?
Sure do. Anybody want to discuss this at all before we move or go to voting? Being that it is third reading of a bylaw, a required vote is requested. We are showing Brian Burick is absent, so the remaining 6 of us, those wishing to vote in favor, can we have a show of hands? That is carried. We haven't talked about this for a while. We have a water agreement with the town of Swan River, which we probably find distasteful. Is council all right if we serve notice to them that we would like to negotiate on that some more and see if we can't fix it up and also include sewer in it?
Is this for the rural water?
This would be to supply rural water, but also properties immediately surrounding Swan River that may be interested in development, and negotiate on sewer services as well for those properties.
A lot of them are likely more interested in that than they are the water.
Absolutely. As long as you're good with it, we'll make some talk with the town, and we'll set a date, and we'll get the committees together to talk about it. If recollection's right, I think that's Councillor Zbirun and Councillor Kushniryk and I are the committee that will go there for that. Okay, we'll be in touch and find a date.
Okay.
9.10, the rural municipality of Dauphin sent over an emergency resolution they have passed. Going to the AMM meeting, they're requesting that the regular rules be waived by AMM. This deals with China applying tariffs on canola. They were applied on August 14th after the deadline to perform these resolutions and send them to the meeting. They sent it forward to us to see if we were interested in passing a resolution and also sending it to AMM. Theirs says, whereas the government of Canada has imposed tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, and blah, 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 therefore be it resolved that they lobby the federal and provincial governments with concerns, and they ask the Association of Manitoba Municipalities and Federation of Canadian Municipalities to lobby the federal and provincial governments for compensatory payments to affected agricultural and related food products equal to and in line with those payments that have been made to the automotive industry on a per capita or basis, the impact on Canadian gross domestic products. So we brought it forward to see if anyone's interested in also passing a resolution. It would have to be worded identically, except it would be the R or the M of Swan Valley West. Thoughts?
It's not gonna hurt to support it in any way, shape, or form, will it?
I think we should.
Okay. It appears that our rules require the resolution be read. So here we go.
Oh, Jesus.
We got it ready already.
You said it wasn't gonna hurt.
There doesn't seem to be anything where we can just say just what they said. We have to actually read it. So whereas the Government of Canada has imposed tariffs on Chinese electrical vehicles, EVs, and whereas the Government of Canada has applied supports to the EV and supporting industries, including but not limited to the manufacturing of batteries, and whereas this has resulted in reciprocal tariffs from China on agricultural products from Canada, including but not limited to canola seed and its products, pork and seafoods, and whereas this has placed undue economic strains on producers of these products because of political and not market forces, therefore be it resolved that the Municipality of Swan Valley West lobby the federal and provincial governments with these concerns, and be it further resolved, the Municipality of Swan Valley West asks the Association of Manitoba Municipalities and the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to lobby the federal and provincial governments for compensatory payments to affected agriculture and related food products equal to and in line with those payments that have been made to the automotive industry on a per capita or basis the impact on Canadian gross domestic products. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor McGregor, and I see Councillor Zbirun. Are you updating that right now?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to delete the changes while I do this.
Okay.
Okay. Any discussion? Those in favor? That's carried. Eagle-eyed people will see it won't actually show up in your thing until we type it out later. That's what it will say. 911, water repairs. You'll recall much earlier this year, there was a water leak in Benito. A copy of the invoice is attached so you can see who it affected. At the time, they indicated they had insurance for this repair, so we dutifully billed them. The exact issue occurred at the nut on the curb stop. Our rule says that if it's after the curb stop, it is the residents' problem. If it is the curb stop or prior, it is our problem. We said that because it was the nut on their line attaching to the curb stop, that was after the curb stop, because technically the curb stop's there, the line goes on, the nut screws on after. Their insurance company says no, the nut is part of the curb stop and is our problem.
So when you buy the curb stop, does the nut come with it?
You take it off and then you put it back on. So we're looking for direction from council. The suggestion is that we waive the invoice.
Yeah, I think you better waive the
Yeah,
issue. That's like right on,
I know, that is,
like a hair.
that's splitting hairs, all right.
and that's the recommendation is we waive it, but because of the amount, we want to bring it to council and make sure council's
No,
okay with
you-
doing that.
Yeah, that's too close to.
Yeah, that's pretty, yeah.
We will make it so. 912, road damage. I believe council received video or photos of a person that drove a cat down a municipal road. Public Works has been out and repaired the road. Made it once again look more like a road than it did after the cat was on it. Not entirely like it was before. Does council wish to pursue anything with that, or do we say that sometimes that happens?
What, did he put the blade down or something?
No, it was just pretty wet and he drove
Oh, he
it
just
down
walked it down the
Instead
road,
of, yeah, instead of hauling it down there.
instead of driving it down there with the truck.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
that
he
a road?
did less damage with the bulldozer than he
Is
would
that a
with
road
the
we
truck.
share with
Yeah, that's what I
Saskatchewan
was gonna
though?
say, would you have sunk the truck out of sight if you would have held the bulldozer?
No, I don't think it was that.
Huh?
I don't know, maybe.
This doesn't come with a recommendation from Public Works
Is that
or
a
from
road we
administration.
share with Saskatchewan though that we,
I'm just not sure.
I think it is
I
actually.
know we were out there and fixed it, because it was definitely our resident.
Did the road have to
No,
be
no, I
graded
know.
anyways?
I think we were out there a while, but. Very good. Everybody's fine with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. 9:13. You sometimes say we don't ask you enough, and then we bring you all the questions. You're like, why did you bring us all this? 9:13, municipal assistant. If you attended the G4 meeting, you certainly heard my thoughts on this already. For those of you that missed the G4 meeting, even after they said they were coming,
Yeah.
almost had full attendance. Yes. This has been dragging on for some time. As you know, it was discussed at the meeting that within 2 weeks, all councils would provide their view on going back to the original simpler proposal of simply having a shared employee hired by the chamber that's contracted out to the committees. How much of this do you want me to explain and do reverse history on, and how much do you want us to make a decision? The recommendation is just get it done.
Well, at the G4, was it not sort of the consensus of everybody, yeah, we should do this? That was the final,
No, their problem is who that person reports to, that's their
oh, well,
problem.
that part,
I
yeah,
think it's
well,
agreed on that it's a need.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it should be shared, like who's ever using it pays for it.
Mhm.
So not just,
And whoever's using it, that's the person they report to. Like if
Yeah.
it's this committee and he's doing work, well, he reports there. If it's this
Yeah.
committee, he reports there. It's not just one person decides the whole.
yeah, you
Am I
just,
wrong or?
no, you're right, but you gotta get the right person that likes to have 8 bosses.
yeah,
Well, and it's not like they presented it as that, but I don't think it is 8 bosses. It's the same as working in a store and a customer comes in and says, I need this, so you do it for them.
That's right.
You don't run to your boss
But
and say,
who do
hey, am I
they
gonna
answer-
do this?
Who do they answer to though?
Well, I think the answer to the chamber, because the chamber writes the check. So if they're calling in sick for the day, they call the chamber and say, I'm sick today. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You know, like that part of it, you need the chamber as a supervisor. But what they do for,
This committee or that
Yeah,
committee or
yeah.
this
When the
committee
committee
is
says,
separate.
They're
we need
just
this done, they're like,
they're
okay, we'll do that
customers.
for you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're really customers.
Yeah,
but they're not
really
gonna,
bosses.
they're not gonna attend the meetings, which
No.
I was on the wrong impression with that. Because I thought they would attend the meetings,
that's
do the
what I kinda
minutes.
thought so too.
But you still do the minutes, hand them in,
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, they essentially have everything
But
prepped.
at least some of the things would get to where they're supposed to be.
but it's like they said too, if they attended all the meetings, that would be a pretty long day for them. If they started
Well,
at work in the morning.
You just couldn't because
No,
they'd be
yeah,
going
that's
every
right.
night.
Yeah,
and
for
that-
sure.
Yeah, they'd be on the night shift.
No.
So we will indicate back to the group again that we think it should just happen. All right.
Yeah. How are we gonna go about the hiring part then? Who's gonna look after that, or how are they gonna do that?
Well, they had, I'm sure that will be the next big 3-month delay. I would suggest the best, like, chamber's gonna have to advertise it. And then either the chamber, which should have representation from all municipalities but doesn't because some of them don't show up, could just make the decision with the existing reps that are there. Or heaven help us, we may have to have yet another committee for a few minutes to get 4 reps from 4 places. But surely the 4 municipalities could come up with some solution.
Unless all the Reeves and mayors or whatever make the,
If they can manage not spitting at each other for an hour, they could probably work.
Have they actually had any applications?
They've never accepted any yet.
No, because they've never advertised.
we haven't advertised it or nothing
You
because,
realize you only have till October to make it happen.
Next October, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm starting to get emails now from various CIOs complaining at me about committees I might have something to do with. And I'm saying to them all, and so where's that assistant that's supposed to be doing these things? Because, you know, over at planning district, you cut a 10-hour-a-week admin position through politics. Like, planning district is probably suffering the most right now. They had a person that worked on it every week. The town of Swan River played politics with that from both ends of their own council, because we had planning, or watershed provided that service by contract. And so one Swan River councillor took issue with the other Swan River councillor about the amount that was charged for it. And their little internal issue making boiled out into planning district. And the one councillor served notice to planning district that they were canceling the contract, and the other one was happy with it because he didn't want to pay it. And the end result is planning district has no one. We haven't even paid around the wiki in 3 months. His bills aren't getting paid because there's no one left. And the solution was, well, we're doing this, but then we didn't do it. So planning district has stopped. And today I got a letter from Mountain, very upset, and rightly so, that planning district has stopped functioning. It has, because I don't have 10 hours a week to go run planning district. I might chair the committee, but that was never part of the deal of chairing that committee, was that I would be issuing planning permits and paying them around the wiki myself.
it's likely the most, so-called labor intensive of all the committees.
Yeah. And so since the end of June, his invoices go in a pile, as do all the requests for permits. And they're just in a stack. And it's just a game of politics. And even this admin position is a game of politics. Because when it came down to brass tacks, the town had to admit what their issue was and why they were gumming it up, was because they're afraid I might tell them what to do. And for planning district, I probably will as long as I'm the chair. Because that's the chair's job, is say, hey, we need these things done, go do them. But like, Ron hasn't been paid 3 months. But I can understand why he's a little upset too.
Yeah, I have a hard time replacing him if he gets,
I don't know. So, we are circulating dates for a planning district meeting to go and solve these problems. But before then, planning district has to know, are they hiring someone for 10 hours a week and renting an office for them to work in? Or are they able to just pay for the admin position that everyone's been talking about for a year now? They have $16,000 to put towards us. That would pay for it for the entire rest of the year, full time. But it's just gotten to this stupid game of politics again.
well, I think we're all in favor of it here, are we not?
We were before.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
Everybody was good until the town voted it down.
the what?
The town voted it down.
They actually voted it down.
Because they said it was too complicated. The only reason it was so complicated was because they came up with 15 pages of rules to govern it, instead of 1 page of rules that everyone could understand. So I think they're back on board with it now. I think. But we will tell them we're still in favor.
Well, that sounded like they were in favor the other night too there.
Sounded like it. Sounded like it last time when they voted it down at their meeting. 914, the Arm Mountain proposal for medical recruitment. To bring the non-attendee up to speed, Reeve Byron spoke about, that make me feel bad, spoke about medical recruitment. So this is one of these convoluted things too. I'll try to cover this off in a way that makes sense. Medical recruitment has been doing return of service agreements. So if you indicate you want to come to the Valley and practice, but want some financial incentive to come because say you're considering Dauphin or Swan River, they might give you $5,000 to come to Swan River and stay for 2 years. Hopefully you fall in love with the community and stay. They've done this numerous times. However, there's no evidence that it has ever actually made somebody come to Swan River instead of going someplace else. Because every grant that has ever been given out has been to somebody that had already chosen to come to Swan River or was originally from Swan River and likely to come back anyway. In fact, for the last couple of years, the grants that have been given out to people that are already in Swan River, having moved here from someplace else, then found out the grant exists and applied for it after the fact. So about 6 months ago, the committee had some soul searching and has stopped approving those grants because we had a couple paramedics that have been working here for months each who applied for money because, oh, we found out we can get free money because we're working here anyway and they'll give us money to come, so let's apply. So we haven't paid them. And we're going down the path of not paying them because unless it's actually bringing someone to the community, why are we spending money on this? So then we started looking at what are we going to do instead. So we have been doing the promotion that we've been up to for a couple of years now, which is working well. We've been doing the bringing the medical students here. Those stuff is all good. We received a letter at the committee from a former PMH employee who now works for UCN, who suggested that we provide scholarships and bursaries to students from the Valley that were interested in healthcare careers. And they had a list of the certain ones. And we would give the person $5,000 when they graduated grade 12, no matter if they practiced here or not. We just give them a grant. And then if they did practice here, we give them another $5,000 when they start. The committee had a lot of heartburn about the idea of giving money to people that may not stay here to practice, because why would we? So then Reeve Bierman suggested that we do scholarships for people that are only staying here. But you don't know if they're staying here at the time they graduate grade 12, because people that are 18 tend to change their mind a lot. So that morphed into this suggestion that we would give out scholarships to people that weren't scholarships at all. They were actually forgivable loans. So we would loan them the money up front so they could afford to go and take their medical thing. And then if they came back here and practiced, we would forgive the loan. And otherwise, we would make them pay the loan back with interest. Now, there's a lot of logistical issues with how to do that, as we heard at G4, but there probably is some way to set up paperwork for that. But again, staying out of those weeds and just looking at the big plan, that sounds a lot like a return of service agreement where you get $10,000 if you come work here. So we are all at our councils to make some sort of decision on what we feel about that. Councillor Burick took the time earlier today to send me a lot of text messages about it. And his view is he does not support the proposal. What does everybody else think?
I did not support the proposal that evening, so I still don't. My take on it. We're getting away from what it was supposed to be. Like, I agree with bringing in how we've done it a couple times now. I agree with that. But this, I can't agree with.
What say the rest of you?
I don't support it. How much of a loan are you talking?
Oh, your
At
school,
least $10,000.
it'll be more, because they're talking about paying their rent, their schooling.
Are they?
It's not just,
Because it's either huge or
And-
it's so insignificant it's not making their mind up if they're going to medical school or not.
it's not medical school. This
No,
is
it Does
nursing.
not
Or
apply
anything.
to,
And this
does not
is-
apply to doctors.
This is not for doctors.
This is only for like nurses and paramedics and things.
Yeah, it's not what you think it is.
The reason it doesn't apply to doctors is because if you take 100 kids that at the end of grade 12 say they're going to become a doctor, less than 2% of them actually do. Because they have to take the full university degree first, get a diploma, and then apply for medical school and be accepted before they enter the program. So the reject rate is around 98% from kids that fully intend to be a doctor when they're done grade 12 and do everything they can to be a doctor. 98 of them do not become a doctor. So it's impossible at that point, just because you want to be a doctor, to give you a scholarship and think you're ever going to end up there.
It sounds like good intentions, but very messy and like there's student loan places for it.
Well,
I
that was
brought that up.
discussed.
Yeah.
There's student loans, and if you go back far enough in this committee, at one point they were paying people like Dr. Theodore to stay here. I don't think there's a big risk of him leaving. And so giving him $10,000 a year to stay in Swan River probably wasn't a great use of money. In the time I've been around there, I've pushed as hard as I could push to stop doing return of service agreements, because I just can't see any proof they do anything. If we're only dealing with money, Saskatchewan bids us every time. We're far better off to be pushing the lifestyle, the reasons to come here, how happy you're gonna be here. I don't want to argue about whether it's true or not, but it's certainly what we pretend. And, those are the reasons we're seeing people interested when we bring these 20 doctors here to come and look at the community for a weekend. To me, that does far more towards convincing someone to show up here than saying, we'll give you $20,000 if you come here for a couple of years. Because anyone will give them $20,000 for a couple of years. And we maybe don't want the people that are just going to the highest bidder. There's been some confusion about what goes on with money at that committee. At the moment, we have about $1 million in the bank, which we've collected up over time because we haven't been spending a lot of it on return service agreements. We've spent more in the last calendar year than we spent in a long time, because we've had 2 of those trips come from Winnipeg this year. Those are costing us about 20 grand each. So
and we did have,
$40,000
or
of
you
that.
did have some return of service
Yeah.
to
And
a
we did
few
do some, yeah.
nurses and that.
So each year, everyone contributes $16 per person to the committee. The biggest expense ever so far has been the CT scanner. The committee put a bunch of money into. And there were some mixed feelings from some people at the time, but that probably has turned out to be the best thing to attract doctors here that we've ever done. And will probably never be anything as good to match it again, because it was such a big deal to them to have a CT scanner.
You say NEPA was new hospitals not having one.
Nope. And so you look at a doctor, they're thinking, should I go to a brand new hospital in Leafmore or to Swan River, they have a CT scanner? Swan River wins, because they want that ability. they're not interested in being in Neepwall where they have to send the person to Brandon and bring them back and see what the scan said. Which makes sense. But
Well, I would be in favor of this to help them with their expenses to get their schooling and stuff, but there would have to be something somewhere, but they didn't come here for so many years after.
I think
So
that's,
these are students, right?
Yeah.
I think what they're
the
proposing,
proposal
why
is
don't-
grade 12 kids.
No, I'm sure somebody's gonna tell me why this isn't a good idea, but tell the student, go get your student loan, take your courses, you come back here, work here for 5 years, and instead of that student loan when it comes payable, instead of you making payments, we'll make the payments for you. And then we're not dishing out a lump sum of money, we're just making payments. And if they decide they're not coming back, well, then it's not costing us nothing, because then they can just keep their student loan and pay it off themselves.
Okay,
Yeah,
what do everybody think of that?
that sounds more.
it's a return of service agreement.
Yeah,
It's the same thing.
It's a little
But I
bit.
mean, then you're not dishing out $20,000-$30,000
Yeah, you
in one
don't have to
shot.
put any up
All
front.
you're doing is paying that student loan for that person, whether it's gonna be whatever, $100, $500, $600 a month. This person comes and works here for 5 years, or how that student loan is paid off, and then they can do whatever they want, and we got our. And then at least we're not dishing out $40,000
Right off the
right off the
get-go.
get-go. And then we could have 4 or 5 kids coming here.
Thoughts?
It's probably the best of the ideas, I think.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure I'm sold on it, but it's probably the best
Well, that
option.
I just thought it up,
That's the bigger picture question, that's the one I struggle with. You have a kid in grade 12, that's gonna go away to school and come back and do something. Should we pay them money? Ever? Like, is there a role for the municipalities to be taking tax dollars and saying that because you're in grade 12, you go and do something, you come back, you can be a nurse or paramedic or whatever, we're gonna give you money?
You're saying we should do that for mechanics too, then?
I'm just,
You know what I mean, that's your sort of, right?
like, at what point, what makes that person so worthy of public money,
Yeah,
but not this person?
that's what I mean.
Like, we're also short on heavy duty, we're short on these other things, but just, all of it, like, I don't believe we should spend anything on medical equipment.
Well, and
Because
the,
it's not our job, it's the province's job, but they don't do it, so then we have to.
like, when you talk about Saskatchewan, it's not the Saskatchewan municipalities paying their,
No.
it's their health regions are paying that, not, our health region should be paying that if that's what they want. But, like,
So
I'd
so
rather
be
see-
it. So
I'd rather see the money used to promote it, promote why you should be here.
Like, to me, I don't want to spend any. This is not a municipal problem, but if we're going to spend money, I want to spend the money on, not you, I want to spend it on showing all of them why you should come here. Show them what the community's like, bring them here for a weekend, do all those things we're starting to do.
But another thing is if you got 3 or 4 students that come back here, how many people does that one student have contact with in that hospital? Not just one, not probably 10, not 20, maybe 50, 100 in a year, maybe more. So isn't that giving back to the community? It's taking the money and giving back to the community, because, I mean, they're giving care to whoever's sick in the hospital.
So did it change their intention? Because we gave them money, did they come here? Or were they coming here anyway if we gave them nothing?
Well, I mean, that's,
And that's what I'm struggling with, because when we're handing out all this money, if it's not actually making it so people come here, why are we giving it?
I don't think you can look at it that way. I mean, it's what you get in the end, you know, from whether you spend that money or not. It's what you're getting, you know.
So we received a request from Prairie Mountain Health the other day to the committee. They wish for us to provide $100,000 so that one nurse can take 2 years off work and go and become a nurse practitioner. That $100,000 would go to them for living expenses while they then took their schooling. What's the answer to that?
That's really not our
No,
responsibility.
This is-
we're so far straying from what the intention started out to be, that where do you stop? Prairie Mountain Health wants that, let them pay for it.
They used to. Prairie Mountain Health cut the budget for that. They used to give nurses $100,000 to take 2 years off to become a nurse practitioner. Now they're asking the community to give the $100,000 instead, because Prairie Mountain Health wants to save the $100,000. But, you know, if you play the devil's advocate all the way around, so you become a nurse practitioner, you make a lot more money than you did as a nurse. So if you choose to take that 2 years off and find a way to finance it, and you make all this huge bigger income because of it at the end of it, maybe that's something you do yourself, or is it something someone should pay you to do? Most people that become a doctor have to pay for that themselves. Either they have rich parents, they get student loans. But they're making $500,000 a year as a doctor, so they use that to pay off the loans.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same thing as, what's an example? For me, farming. If I'm a poor farmer and I don't get a very good crop, is my crop worth $20 a bushel canola? And somebody that's a very successful farmer that gets a whole bunch of bushels, is his canola only worth $5 a bushel? The same thing, if I go in for a practical, for that nurse and I'm getting more money, well, you shouldn't, I mean, good for them. I mean, they took the time to do that.
So then should we give municipal money to the farmer that doesn't have much to catch him up?
Well,
No,
Well, that becomes the argument, you know, you have a successful farmer.
but there you go. You get a successful farmer, they'll say no. You get somebody that doesn't have very much money, what are they gonna tell you? Hand it over,
Yeah.
right?
Closing thoughts from anybody? Is there consensus to be reached? Or not so much? We do need to move on to the next fun item.
I think you better move on.
You must give some indication back to the committee. So
But what,
I don't think anybody wanted it the way it was proposed. It was some other discussions of ways that might be more palatable, would be fair.
It's sort of, you're living on the edge the way they wanted to do it.
Yes.
You know, you're looking to lose money.
yeah, there was no guarantees the way they were gonna do it.
No,
Yeah,
None.
that's what I mean.
I didn't go
At
for
least
that
the
the
way-
way they were.
If there
At
was-
least the way you explained it,
Yeah,
there's more of a guarantee.
Okay, so we will indicate back to the committee,
if they don't.
as
come.
presented, no.
No,
But here's some ideas the council came up with, the committee should ponder. Is that fair?
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay. 9:15, library board. And they said, the library board is the easiest committee. Nothing ever happens at the library board.
Could have told you that
that's
was
what I
wrong.
heard.
So, as you know, we reviewed a letter last meeting before. Public Library Services is stomping their feet, threatening us with $80,000. Well, it's actually $83,969.24 they will withhold if we don't replace RJ with somebody else from the community. So we need to find that person before the end of December. We must find someone to appoint there that will continue the work of getting the library board on track. To their credit, for the first time in over a year, the library board received last night an actual expense report that was accurate, that correctly shows the amount of money spent and the amount of money brought in and how much of the budget has been spent. And I just take a moment to congratulate them on actually accomplishing that, because it hasn't happened for a very long time, so good for them. A copy of that budget is attached, so you can see how they're doing at the moment. You'll note the only money they haven't received yet is our contribution. I have asked finance to prepare that for our next meeting to approve the check for what we're owed them this year. Councillor McGregor talked big last night about how he was gonna let me do the library report and committee reports, So see how we're talking about library, Councillor McGregor, why don't you give us the library committee report from last night?
Well, I hadn't been at a meeting for a little while dealing with health issues. And I could take that agenda and show you one from 4 months ago and it's exactly the same time. And it's just, the meetings are out of control. There's weird little groups talking to each other and it just, I shake my head. I just couldn't believe it. You know, some of this stuff has been, it's like beating a dead horse. It's just over and over and over again, nothing ever gets done. The computers, I'm sure everybody here remembers the talk about getting the computers and putting them in for public use. Well, guess what?
Still not there?
Still not there.
Where did the ones go that used to be there? Because they used to have that service.
They're sitting there. not
So they
plugged
used
in.
to have the service all
They-
the time.
They moved them to where the plugs don't reach. Sorry,
Why
try
is
not
that?
to laugh,
Why is that?
because they like them better there.
Well, they need to just go back to where they were.
Yeah.
There was no problem where they were. You walked in, they were over here.
Mhm.
Need me to go? Sorry.
In another example of library board reading this last night, I just attached a bunch of the stuff from the meeting. So you'll see in there this concern about 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
So in Benito, they've had one of their employees has been working an extra 1.5 hours to provide extra supervision to the Parents and Tots program, of which up to 26 people are attending. So this has become a major issue at the library board. This took 20 minutes last night,
Oh,
at least.
that.
Because they don't wish to pay this 1.5 hours a week to this person. Because, well, partly they're mad at them, but also they never approved the 1.5 hours. And so I spent, as RJ could attest, a lot of time asking questions about how this worked. And the answer, the best answer I got was from the supervisor, the head librarian said, well, I don't pay attention to anything going on in Benito. Which may have been how this problem started. So, as I explained to them, you're going to have to pay these hours because when they go to the labor board, you will pay these hours. They feel that's not the case. So they wish to choose to have a labor board ruling issued on whether or not to pay 6 hours of staff time. And they're going down that path where they've assigned a member of the library board to contact the labor board and get a ruling on whether they have to pay these 6 hours or not that the employee worked at the library supervising 26 children. But this is just how things are going there. It's
Well,
not
it's-
good.
You're gonna end up right back where it was before with it, everybody just doing whatever they want with hours, and that's how they got into a big mess in the first place.
But this is a program that they run, which Benito usually only has one employee.
No,
Swan
I-
River used to have 4.
Yeah.
This should be paid.
Well,
No?
That was my argument.
but.
This should be
okay,
paid.
It was not pre-approved though, that's the thing.
It's a program that was pre-approved by the library. You can't run it with one person in the library. You
Well,
can't.
It was my understanding last night that the person that was supposed to be there, they've switched.
Yeah, they switched their shifts without, well, they may have told somebody, but they weren't paying attention when they were told. So because the one that's billing the hours.
And the
would
way
have
it
been there
sounds
normally.
here, that one of these employees isn't being paid at all. It's a volunteer position.
Mhm.
So really, pay it and just move along. Like,
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you that it should be paid, it should, but.
but
But
the
they-
program's
the
bringing
thing
in
is, they-
26 kids.
They gotta pull the reins in and actually say, hey, look, you can't just pick your own hours. Nobody approved it.
Yeah, well, this,
They seem to be unable to run a railroad.
it's very backwards.
Because they just, like the supervisor that's supposed to be supervising this hasn't supervised it. So they've essentially assigned those duties to this employee that worked this extra time, who is the supervisor of how much time they work. Because the other one said, well, it's not my job, I only have 30 hours a week. I can't do all this stuff. So she let them assign their own hours, so then they did, now they don't want to pay it. Which is just, it's
And
wild.
that's why I agree it should
Yeah.
be paid, but it's just,
So this program, it was approved to run this program?
Oh, yeah, they've been
So, I
advertising.
mean, if the program was approved, it wasn't the hours kind of approved to go with it, or not?
Wouldn't you have thought?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it's part of the library, it's
Yeah.
part of the library day, but in all honesty, you should know that one person can't be doing it all at once.
Well, and
Because
then-
who's gonna be, so you're gonna stop your reading your story and check out books for me? No.
Okay, but it had.
It makes no
had they
sense.
come to the board and said, hey, we're gonna have a problem here.
Do they have to? When,
Act-
I mean, it's not that, do they have to? They're both advertising the program. They know what goes along. And before, this library was saying they needed 4 staff. These guys are running with 1. I don't know. We need to find someone then to go on that board that's gonna make some sense.
It's a very interesting place.
Not saying you don't.
No, like I said, it's a dorm show.
They were looking at doing staff raises last night. And so this has come up for about 6 months, maybe 12 months now in a row, doing staff raises. And I have been dutifully saying, could you please make a proposal to the board? Because what I expect of our administration is when we come here for something that we have some information, we often do, we can make a decision. At the board, there's been nothing except for 11 months in a row told Kushniryk gives the staff a raise. And every time I say, well, how much? Well, I don't know. Well, what's it gonna cost? I don't know. Make a proposal. Let's look at it as a board. So last night a proposal came forward, which was 2 pieces of paper with salary scales printed out from the provincial library that's unionized, MGEU, and from a different library that has 8 different people in it. And they said, here's our proposal. And I said, so what are you gonna pay them? Well, I don't know, that's what it says. I said, well, the one line says we're gonna start paying a librarian $56,000 a year to be a librarian. Are you suggesting we pay that? Well, I don't know. Well, where's the proposal? And then talked about, well, maybe a 2% raise. Okay, where's the proposal for a 2% raise? Well, nobody knows what they're all getting paid now. Well, you would start with a list of, what do we pay now? What would 2% cost us? Why would we increase it 2%? Is there some reasons to that? What would it look like if it was 2.5? What if it was 1.5? Something, anything, something, but it doesn't come. And I asked all that, and they said, well, I only work 30 hours a week. How can you expect me to get that done?
When I was on the library board, Jason was not,
Deloria.
yeah, was on at the same time. And him and I came up with that. They got their raises that year, but we had a proposal. Okay, this is what it was. Like, I can look back for that somewhere.
But I used to be doing that. I wrote their budget the last couple of years. But then they get this view of, well, we're doing it because he wrote it. And it's like, okay, then do it yourself. When we talked about the board thing, I said, remember the second part of the letter we got? Because they caused this, right? Their own board members went to Public Library Services and complained about our municipality and got a ruling that we have to get rid of one of our 2 people from there. But the ruling they got went further and said, you have to follow all of the rules. And the rule says they have to present their budget to our municipality by the end of November or they don't get funded next year. They have 1 meeting left, and that's the 17th of November, and they have not yet started the budget. And so I pointed that out last night. You caused this, you're gonna follow all the rules, and that's a rule. And they said, well, we'll have to do the budget that night. I look forward to seeing how that's gonna work out. I don't think they can, but maybe I'll be surprised. Anyway, think of plans. We can advertise, but we need to not have someone that just puts up their hand. We need to have somebody that wants to bite into this and spend some time figuring it out and make it better over there. 916, 90 Railway Avenue. This is the house in Benito. We didn't receive a lot of interest in this yet, so we went out and asked Trumbull what it would cost them to do it. This is high end, obviously, $15,000. Plus there's a concern there about if there is asbestos or not in some of those materials. We could likely do it cheaper than this, but this gives us a budgetary price. We could shop around some more. I'm sure there's people that would do this for less. But this is, you know, what a professional restoration company would cost to go in and clean that house out. They would clean it completely empty, flooring gone, any of the flooring that's damaged gone, except for the asbestos tiles, if those are asbestos. We have to do something with that. It would then at that point be ready to be painted and
Cleaned.
clean.
Because they're
Yeah.
not
Yes,
cleaning.
they're not gonna wash the walls,
Yeah.
but they have to be washed.
But there
Yeah.
is people that
Yeah,
would be interested in that end of it, I think.
so do you want to continue pursuing this? Do you want us to look around and see if we can find anybody that would do it cheaper than this? So I think this is, I think as a professional restoration company, I would think this is the most it would ever cost. Whereas you might find laborers that would do it cheaper, or what are your thoughts? Don't all go at once.
It seems like a lot of money
Mhm.
for what they got listed there.
It- This tends to be an expensive option, this particular quote. I would think you could probably find someone for half if you did some more shopping.
That's what I was thinking too.
Okay. So you will watch which direct administration will go shopping, see what else we can find. We know it can't be any worse than this,
Yeah.
so if we can find it for a lot cheaper,
It's half of this list he's got here has to do with asbestos, and they say they don't handle asbestos. They don't have a license for the removal of it.
no.
So all you're looking at is the top half of this thing, basically, what they're gonna,
The only really challenging thing in there, outside of asbestos concern, but you can just cover asbestos tile, you don't have to remove it, you can just go over it with something, is the freezers. Those are the stuff that's hard for people to get out. Because they're so big and so heavy, they don't necessarily fit through the doorway, they may have to be cut into pieces to get out.
What-
Everything else is pretty easy to do
which
there.
building is it?
This
It's
is
a
the
house.
The Baker House.
House.
Oh,
No.
why would you have to cut them in pieces?
I think they went in, from the look of it, some of them may have
Oh,
gone
they
in
built that
before.
after,
No.
had them down there.
Which is the same problem my mom has.
Same thing
Hers
as,
don't
same
come out.
thing as on.
Well, they just have to
Same
get
thing, they don't come out.
get them
They're not
decommissioned
putting
and
in,
get a
but they can't
sawzall,
come
cut them in half. Or torch, whatever.
No. Torch might be best if we burn the whole house down. It's an insurance issue.
We got a fire department, what
We
the
do.
heck?
We have insurance on it too. Hey, so we will get administration to do a little more shopping.
Would you be interested in selling as is?
Last direction from council was to figure out what it would cost to clean it because we get more money for it. Does anyone want to change their mind on that?
Well, maybe if it's 15 to clean it, maybe sell it the way it is. Or we wouldn't get that money back, would we? Like-
Oh,
Hmm?
this,
Yeah.
you'll get it back.
Oh, you'd
It's,
get-
it's a good, if
It's a good house.
it's fixed up, it'll be a good house again.
If we did this to it, we might have to go so far as to wash the walls and paint the walls.
Oh,
But if
definitely.
we went as far as paint the walls, we're probably in the neighborhood of 70 or 80 for the house.
No, I was thinking more in the 100 range.
Well, it could be, but
Commenting it was a good house.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll shop. Survey results, Road 161 and 202. We have a printout of these if that's easier for people to see than looking at it on here. This is the road you'll remember came here for a while back, a couple months ago now. Watershed was open, did the survey. So the most interesting map is probably the ditch center map, which looks like this on there. So you see how the ditches go. You can also see the run across the field where that, probably 50, 60 years ago, that run was built there. And so the professional opinion of the watershed, based on this, is that the water could be made to go if you did some ditching. You would have to ditch essentially, from where these culverts are, you would have to ditch this portion down to get it to go that way. You could get it to come here as well and try and take it north if you wanted to, but to get it to go to the east, you would have to do a lot of ditching. The proposal that's currently being floated around is to block the culverts that go across the road to the north where that run is. Move all of that water to the west. Go either across that road to the west of the river or go north at that point. I have spoken to Mr. Mahand, who lives there, who is adamantly opposed to us doing ditch work and refusing to sign off on it where the ditch touches his property. What kind of discussion would you folks like to have?
This survey was done by Watershed, correct?
Correct. This was the one that was a private survey,
Yeah.
privately paid to Watershed to do it. In speaking to Mr. Mahan, he thinks the best solution is to clean out the run going across the field. So the water actually goes down that run instead of just all over the field, making a mess of everything.
Like straighten that run out type thing?
Not necessarily straighten it, but deepen it, because it's full of silt over the years. You know, it's been there 60 years. That's not what Mr. Thomas is wanting. He's wanting essentially to not have that run there, so that's all one field. And move that water someplace else.
So if Mr. Mahan doesn't sign off, to what can we do about it? Nothing?
It would be very difficult without his sign off.
No, you couldn't, because you couldn't because you couldn't dig here and here and then in between, it just wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean.
It
There's
can't,
nothing
it wouldn't work unless,
he signed off on.
yeah.
I kind of indicated that to Mr. Thomas, that, you know, the path to moving this water involves Mr. Mahan agreeing. I understand they had a conversation yesterday about that for a while, but they did not come to an agreement.
So, I mean, unless they come to agreement, our hands are tied, right? Or not? Or is there some,
If the option was to go, you know, there's Mahan's suggestion is clean the run across the field. That's out of our control because that's landowner. If it's move the water down the ditch, it becomes something we have to deal with. And so then, you know, we can get to that corner. And once we get to that corner, if going west across Mahan's property isn't okay, then the only other choice would be go north, which could be done. It's a fair amount of work too. You want to comment? You're sitting here anyway.
Yeah,
Tell
so
us your thoughts.
at that junction, there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 culverts. The culverts are damaged on pretty much all the ends, and they don't flow as much water as the culvert's designed for. The water comes from the south on the east ditch, which belongs to Bresky's, and it comes to that corner. And since the culverts can't take it because they are damaged, it goes east, and then those culverts can't take it, and it washes out the RM road pretty much every year. And Watershed probably can save, you know, fix the culverts, but it's my opinion that getting the water to flow through the culverts that are there would help.
We have talked to Public Works about those culverts and they are to be fixing them. So that was part of when we had Marty's dad out there in the summer. We looked at that, we agreed we would fix all of those crushed culverts and see what that did. You know, if it helped out enough or not. It probably won't be enough. But it would be better than it is now, obviously, if the culverts are flowing what they should. But that's kind of, you know, we can do all of that without major digging or permitting, because we're just fixing what's there. But then if you're going any further than that, we're gonna start moving culverts around, or adding them here and blocking off other ones, that's where it's gonna get to be touchy. But they are, and I think we talked to them again this week, we mentioned it a bit. Derek?
Yes.
Yeah, about making sure we
I
get
take
those
some water
fixed.
across my field, but the way with the culverts being plugged, as much as they are, I'm getting a vast majority of the
It
water.
should more than you should.
Mhm.
So let's try to get.
And the water can go down 3 ditches from that junction.
Yeah. So ideally, we need to get this culvert fixed before it freezes. You know, get the crushed parts off so they can flow full flow. and then see what happens in the spring, I guess. Because we're not gonna get any of the rest of this done before spring.
Would we be thinking of putting another culvert in there just to,
We would have to permit.
Yeah, we have to
Yeah.
permit it, and that
But I
would,
mean-
that wouldn't, we don't have enough time.
no, not now, but I
In
mean,
the spring.
see what happens in the springtime, and if it doesn't, would that be an option instead of all this digging first, or what?
The view from watershed is the water's not gonna go there
Okay.
on its own
to the
without some help.
junction.
Yeah. Yeah, the water, it's at the junction, it's, when the junction's overflowing and it's going, that water, if there's more culvert, there would take it. But it's not gonna move the other water that's showing up. That's also causing trouble without doing some digging.
So if we did some digging, I'm not familiar with the spot, Marty, but is it in the ditch we have to do the digging or on some land or?
So we would be digging our ditch. The question becomes if our ditch could be dug big enough,
Deep enough and big enough?
or we'd have to go wider to accommodate.
The water flow.
Yeah. Because the one suggestion, probably the most drastic suggestion, is blocking off. There's two culverts that go, you know, at this red X, there's two culverts here go across. And so one suggestion is block those culverts off and bring that water all here. And then dispense with it from this corner. Right now what's happening is water's coming here, it's not all leaving and some of it's going this way, but other water goes there too. But the most drastic solution would be to block this, so no water goes there, it all has to come back this way. Which would then, probably the ditches wouldn't handle without making them wider.
But it wouldn't affect any landowners.
I don't know how big the right of way is
If
there,
it
if we
went-
might need to
is
be,
that-
we might need to.
I'd have
property.
to see it, I'd have to see it to understand.
I don't know if I really want that culvert blocked, but I just don't want, 90% of the water going on my place.
So is it agreeable we at least get public works out there this fall to get the damaged parts of the culvert off, so they flow as much as they should?
Yeah.
You know, that's a start, and then see in the spring where we're at,
Yeah.
because we're not gonna get the rest of
There's
it
three
done.
culverts at that junction.
Yeah,
How big are they?
But not only 24 inch,
Okay.
and they're neck down to 10, or, like, it's hard to measure because they're all.
So put up and-
Yeah,
okay. So we will talk to Public Works about it again tomorrow, and express it needs to go up the list of things to do, to be done before it gets cold.
no, they could just cut the ends off.
Yeah, well, yeah, just slice the ends off for now,
Yeah.
get them open.
There was a suggestion somebody made of putting a berm in from that junction on the south ditch to direct more water to the culverts at that junction than letting it go east. But
Okay. Anything else from anybody on this? We'll get at least that done, and we'll try and make it very clear it needs to be done very, very soon. Okay, 9:18, we had Kevin here earlier, we need to make a decision about that invoice for that driveway. What do you want to do?
I hate to eat it, but I feel like we blew our shot when we said, yeah, do whatever you wanna do.
Well, that's, I think
That
that's,
wasn't here that said that.
No, but that was our lead hand to Barkman.
Yeah,
Our
but I
lead
don't-
hand is in place to stop that.
We gotta sit down and have a meeting there.
so we talked to him for a while this morning about purchase orders. And I asked him what he could live with and what he could not live with for our discussion tonight. And I suggested that we would tell all of our contractor folks that unless they have a purchase order number before they start a project, they're not getting paid, period. And that he would be required to issue a purchase order number, but that it couldn't be blank. They had to have an amount on them. So when he gets into it, because this is the second time we've had this issue in the last couple of months where something's gotten far out of hand from a phone call where the contractor thinks he's saying yes and he thinks he isn't, or to a different amount. And so I said, could you live with that? He feels he could. So we would issue a purchase order that says, this contractor do this job up to a maximum of this amount. And if it has to exceed that amount, they can't go past it unless they get permission again first. So there is no more of this, well, I thought he said we could. And just send a bill after. Because this is getting, like, we're up to $20,000 by the time we eat this one. of bills that probably shouldn't have happened, but had this confusion of whether the work was authorized or not. So to me, that's the only solution, is we've gotta rein this in, and we have to make it extremely clear to the contractors. If you start doing work without a purchase order, we're just not gonna pay it. Cause that should put some onus back on them to make sure they really have permission to work it and bill.
Just a phone call.
Why? Because it's, you know, our lead hand believes he did not say he could spend money. He believes what he gave him permission for was he could put gravel there if the guy was buying it. The contractor believes that the phone call represented, I'm charging you for the gravel I'm putting there. And they both agree the phone call happened, they both agree to what the language of the phone call was. They interpret differently what the words meant. So we'll eat the invoice.
It's kind of like we're, yeah, because the ratepayer maybe shouldn't have called, but he's getting caught in the middle of our two guys
Yes.
not being clear.
Yes.
And we didn't lose the whole amount, like I was saying.
We would've had to do it anyway.
Because we would've had to do it
Yes.
with our
Materials
own
cost
equipment,
would've had-
our own manpower, and the gravel and everything. Well, it was just the hauling, I guess, that was
Yeah, probably just the hauling.
question.
Yeah. Okay. And we're good with doing that to the purchase orders. We'll make clear to our vendors that.
By all means. Yeah.
Well, we have to
Yes,
have
'cause
some.
we
But
gotta
you make
control
Kevin
this
pick that tank up.
I will.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll like that.
Yeah, when you call him tomorrow,
Probably
congratulate him on his new tank. And tell him to get it on the ditch. Okay, 919, decision regarding video zoning. Remember we said we were gonna make this decision last meeting and we forgot to? So this was the presentation we had last meeting, requesting that we vary zoning in Benito to allow the demolition of a residential property and then replace it with a yard full of building materials with no building attached to it. We've certainly talked about it around here. The recommendation is that we do not do it on the basis of it's a service lot. Service lots in Benito are worth about $30,000 if we have to build new service lots. Why would we give permission to take a service lot out of commission to make a storage area when it should just have a new house on it? But we're here for council's opinion and decision.
I guess, Mike, I'm not quite sure what they plan to do there. To store there and not have it in a.
She's not having, they just want a spot to be able to drop off building materials and keep them, but no shed, no
But
cover.
what's stopping somebody from going there midnight
Exactly.
shopping? And I
Well,
don't
exactly,
know why
that's
they
kind of
would
the
wanna
scary
do
part of
that.
it. Well, and do you want your building materials in the rain and all the time? I don't know.
And does the person living next door want to be living next door to building materials? The one that's living there right now might not care, but in the future. like,
But the
it's
other
a
side of it,
residential
the
area.
other side of it is a property that's well kept.
Mhm.
I doubt that he'd want to see that.
We did bounce around, you know, there's that CN property that used to be the bulk service center, right?
Yeah,
There's contaminated land that you can't build a building on. If all you're doing is a flat storage area,
but they bought this lot, didn't
they
they?
have not bought it
Or
yet.
they haven't bought it yet?
They're
Okay.
not buying it unless we say they can do this.
Okay, okay.
And for pure entertainment's sake, about an hour ago now, by law enforcement received the authority to notify the owner of that house in question that it's derelict. And so there will be something happening with that lot one way or the other. It's just a question of what.
Yeah, well, you know, if it's fully serviced and, you know,
It's tough to give that up when we're looking at Northview Drive and it's gonna cost us $30,000 a lot to service them.
Yeah.
And we have one sitting right there that's a service lot. Why would we give up a service lot to be a storage area?
yeah, it doesn't,
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Not in a residential area, and not in a residential area, so the people across the street that live their homes, do they wanna look at a pile of stuff? Wouldn't you rather see a neighbor? I don't know.
All depends.
depends on the neighbor.
Some, yeah, well, it depends on the, yeah, well, that's cause you live on the farm, we don't know that.
Yeah.
What is the decision of council?
I don't think that we can I don't think we can zone it for that. Or
there
I
anything
wouldn't
else to say?
raise my hand to.
I would say it's in their best interest not to sell it to them.
It's in their best interest not to buy
What they
it.
got planned there, you know, I wouldn't leave my stuff laying around like that.
No, it would be, it's just
Especially
gonna
building
hurt stuff.
materials nowadays. Oh,
Yeah.
At least you'd have to have a fence, so even a fence they're gonna cut. But that's happening, if you're already losing stuff with a fence.
yeah,
Without a fence, it's just gonna be a free-for-all.
And
well,
if
that's,
they
that's,
really
I
want a
can
lot,
understand why they want to
Yeah.
do that.
why don't we suggest the end of Main Street, right across Government Road Allowance, it's unserviced, and has a house on it that you could level and do the same thing?
Even easier to steal over there though.
It's pretty
I
easy anywhere,
just-
so I mean, if they're willing to risk that.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we have our answer, unless somebody wants to dissent on that. 9/20, Canada Day 2026. Believe it or not, it's time to plan for Canada Day. Last year, we missed the grant application deadline because we didn't realize we were planning Canada Day, not somebody else. Grants are open for the next couple weeks for us to submit. Is council fine with us submitting a grant to do Canada Day in Benito? The grant can cover cake, it can cover fireworks or light shows, it cannot cover hot dogs or items that are barbecued or liquids that are consumed.
Really?
Really?
No free booze, partner.
What about cases of champagne for spraying?
I think we should actually try to do Canada Day with the opening of the splash park.
We looked
At
into
the same time,
that.
can't?
So, Canada Day, the scoring criteria. To be given the grant, it must be within 5 calendar days of Canada Day. And you receive additional scoring if it is on Canada Day. So we cannot go like the idea was for the townwide garage sale to be the grand opening at Splay Park, but it's too far away from Canada Day to stretch Canada Day celebration money there. So if we receive the grant, we need to do something that actually celebrates Canada Day. Now, you could delay the opening at Splash Park, or you could still do the Splash Park opening, have another reason to go back. Canada Day this year, coming, will be a Wednesday,
Oh,
so it's right in the middle of the week. But we would essentially be applying for cake money and fireworks money,
yeah.
and try and do something. Part of our,
Can't we just open the splash park and then just say the official opening will be on?
well, yeah, the Splash Park's gonna open as soon as it's warm.
Yeah.
We'll start it running, it's just whether we celebrate that at the first weekend of June as the townwide garage sale, so it might be a good day, or Canada, we can decide that in the spring, which one's gonna be the official opening. If we wanna have 2 parties in Benito, do one the one or one the other,
Yeah.
and there's a reason to be there twice. Not necessarily a bad thing. Hey, we will put in the application, so you raise your hand, I saw that.
Better speak up here because I had already approached the rec board about a car show. And just using the washrooms and then maybe setting up a vendor's fair. So they were gonna take it to their meeting.
That was
I did-
last year.
Well, I didn't know what was going on, so funny thing of it is, I just did it today too, so.
Good. Well, they have a meeting coming up on November 3rd, which would be a great meeting if any of you are bored that evening to attend. It's their annual general meeting, November 3rd.
Byron, you have to go. So you
I
don't-
got a vet board meeting on the 3rd.
That's because they never give much notice when their meetings are.
Okay, so I think Canada Day settled. Part of our application may be that there are no other fireworks shows on Canada Day anymore. See how the town moved theirs to a different night.
And we got firemen.
Yep. Okay, to number 10 we go, correspondence. We have nothing. Unfinished business, there's nothing there. 12, committee reports. Let's start with Councillor Blosha.
I have no committee reports.
Councillor Kushniryk.
Just the LED, we discussed the ball diamonds a bit, we discussed crack sealing going on, a little bit about Canada Day, that's about it.
What's the talk on ball diamonds been?
Well, I think I kind of brought it up here quietly about possibly removing 2 of the 3 diamonds because they're not getting used as much. Really maintaining 1 well, because every council has struggled since, but in defense of the councils, if the ball diamonds aren't being used, they get overgrown so easily.
No.
I'm just coming up with a different, better plan for that space.
That's just a
And
meeting.
it was kind of brought up, I guess, at one of the report meetings, but we need to formally address them and see what they feel about it. Go from there.
Not to get too far down a rabbit hole, but we've been researching the pickleball thing that we talked about here for the Swan River area. And the basic feeling of most pickleball people we've talked to in other communities that have done this is that there must be a washroom
That's the
facility.
guy we couldn't understand.
Because the age of pickleball players is such that there must be a washroom.
October 16th.
And so that's part of, the discussion of the sewer agreement with the town, because then we could actually put a washroom there. But also this discussion of Benito, as much as we don't wanna go do something else in Benito, there's the ability to do a washroom.
Of all goofy things, just this last week or so, I was in Minnetonka and I've lived here forever. I did not know they have outdoor washrooms at the campground.
Yeah.
Like hard walled, very nice washroom.
Councillor McGregor.
I attended the G4 meeting, which was an interesting experience. Pretty much touched on most of that. I also attended a library meeting, which we pretty much talked about everything. The only thing we didn't really talk about was the Spooktober, but they don't have the final numbers yet, so.
That's why it's not in the budget, or not on the paperwork.
Yeah, right there. There's the
They-
agenda.
Well, they spent, no, they spent so much.
Yeah, they haven't got
money,
all
there's nothing budgeted. is
They haven't
there?
got all their totals from expenditures and stuff in there yet, so hopefully next meeting.
I thought that was the museum that was doing it. Or did it-
It's a library.
But they have
How can you
sign
not
up
know
out
what
at the
you spent on
museum
it?
there, didn't they?
Well, they have it at the museum. The library's doing it.
Oh,
Drama.
oh, okay. I won't get it. I don't wanna rile anybody up here.
Anything else?
No.
Councillor Neely. you're-
Okay. I thought I could get something going here, but anyway. Well, I was also at the G4, and I just wanna say that I've been to a lot of them over the years, and I'm thinking maybe one of the better ones that I've ever been to. You know, it was quite informative. The guy and the girl that were up there, they were, what was it they were?
Pier.
Oh yeah, with the bridge construction and all this kind of stuff, that was, yeah, it's things like that that I think it's nice to get those kind of people so we know that they're out there. We already have them working for us, but I mean, municipalities that don't, it might be something that, really hits home, eh? They can actually save you money in a lifetime. Not in the first year or two, but I mean, over a long period of time, they could likely save municipalities some money. But other than that, we had a watershed meeting on the 16th. It was just a basic meeting, and then they had the provincial update. And they had a guy, what would you call that? Zoom? Well, he was on the big screen anyways. And I thought it was just me, I couldn't really hear him very good or something. And then after, I'm listening to the guys after the meeting, and nobody could understand the poor man. Couldn't tell what he was saying, and they don't have hearing aids. Okay, so I mean, so I felt a lot better then. See. But anyways, we did the financial part of it the last month or two, and then the manager's report. And one thing that Ed did say was they had 10 projects this year, and they ran out of money after number 7. Is that not correct?
I think,
Yeah, they got 7 out of 10 projects done before they blew their bank account, so. And other than that, they were just talking about the conferences that are coming up in December. Yeah, that's basically it. There wasn't, well, unless you can add something, Byron.
No, I think we covered everything.
And that's it.
Councillor Zbirun.
Just watershed and G4.
So as I mentioned earlier, today we spent some time doing public works review, just working through some PO issues there, looking at a couple things that need to be touched up a bit. We were obviously discussing some greater issues there too. Yesterday I was at the library meeting, and I'll take your bait, Councillor Neely. So Spooktober was held at the museum by the library board. So even though it's at the museum, most people believe that's a museum event. It is not. It is a library event the last 2 years. They took over from someone else. And drama. So I happen to be on the museum board by choice. It's a board I wasn't appointed to from here. I've always been there. That is my home board. When I'm not here being Reeve, that's the one board I'm normally a member of. So I have some loyalty to the museum, 'cause I've been there a very long time. I carry keys to the museum. But I'm also a library board member by virtue of being here. So I carry keys to the library. And so I have this wonderful crossover where they all blame me for everything. So Spooktober has historically been giving the museum $500 since the library took over, which is not nearly enough money for what they're doing to the museum, because they're using it for a whole week for $500. They're requiring all the displays to be moved, all the things to be changed. It's insane. But that's a museum issue. Where it intersects with the library is they were given some keys to the museum, and then they had an attack about how they should have keys 12 months a year because they should be able to come and go on museum property anytime they wanted as library board members. And I said, no. Well, just give us your keys and we'll just copy them and not tell the museum board about it, and we'll have a set of keys and we can come and go as we need and they don't need to know. And I said, no. And then because I'm on the museum board, of course, I put this in our group chat, hey, like, what's going on with keys here? Why are these guys wanting keys? Why are they trying to make copies of my keys? So the museum board is now talking about hiring a locksmith and changing locks, because they're not entirely sure that the library board didn't make copies of the keys because they had their hands on them for 2 days because they didn't return them. They didn't use them to open something to the back. They held on to them for 2 days, and we just don't know if they made copies. So the library board's kind of on its way to being kicked out of the museum for Spooktober, which is stupid because Spooktober is a really good community event. I spent the last couple of years, I've been there the entire time, and this year again, there's groups of teenagers talking to each other while not holding a cell phone. And anything in our community that involves teenagers speaking to each other without the use of a cell phone is a pretty good thing to be supporting in our community. And, as we've all worried about the school situation here, while I was serving hot dogs this year, there was great consternation amongst some of the teenagers because 2 of them had disappeared out behind a building in the dark. And they were wondering what might be happening, and I said, hopefully they're populating the schools. But what is a dark night at the museum for if not going up behind a building with your significant friend and seeing what you can do? The library board, in their wisdom, has decided to hold the $500 grant to the museum until they have a meeting with the museum board. The museum board wants to have to talk about some issues that they're having with the library board on the threat of they might not give them the $500 if they don't like the outcome of the meeting. It should be so simple because it's a good event for the community. But somehow it just gets strange when the library board's involved.
Why would they think they needed keys to the museum? That's not their.
Because they shouldn't have to ask for keys. I said, why do you need? Oh, because we shouldn't have to ask for keys every time. We should be able to come and go. You have
But
keys.
it's a once a year event.
I said, I have keys because I'm on the museum board and I'm here all the time. Not because I'm on the library board and have keys to the museum. I said, how would you feel if I gave the museum board keys to the library? I'll just copy my library keys and give them to all the museum board in case they want a book some night. Like, come on. That's insane.
They did drop off their check today.
Oh, they did.
Yes.
So they have paid the $500. Calmer senses prevailed earlier today. Good. Outside of that, I've been doing some work on the RISE book because you heard at G4 me take a licking for that not be done yet. So I've been working on that a bit. On Sunday, I had an opportunity to attend the water plant in Benito because Sean was away this weekend, and there's only Sean and I left now that have the ability to go to the water plant, so I went and did water testing. Saturday, I also did water testing because he was away for the full weekend, but he's back next weekend. So I talked to him about it, and I said, you know, we don't want you to feel like you have to work 7 days a week because that's just stupid. I will do it anytime you want a day off. You tell me when you want the day off, and I will come do it for you. So I've left that with him, so it's his choice if he wants to work or not work. If he doesn't want to work a day, just let me know and I will show up and do it so he's not stuck. Also Saturday, I went hunting for graders. Found some too.
Not to buy one.
Not to buy one. So early Saturday morning, I was woke up by a phone call from someone that was very concerned about a private grader that was planned to be on a municipal road grading. It's the one we've dealt with here before. So I did go for a drive, and I did locate the grader grading on a municipal road without any permission. I stopped the grader and asked the operator if he had proof of insurance. He indicated there was no insurance. So we had a chat about having a private grader on a municipal road without insurance and what happens next. If someone gets hurt, if someone hits a grader, if the grader hits someone. He had already graded almost 2 miles of road one side. So I said, well, the issue is we cannot leave it like this. Can't take the grader away now. If I send you home, I have to call somebody out on overtime to come and finish grading this road now. They're not gonna like that. And someone's gonna wanna bill your boss for this, because he was an employee of the guy that owns the grader. And so we agreed that because the operator in question was a qualified operator, although he had no permission to operate in our municipality, he does happen to be the foreman in a different municipality, that I would allow him to grade that couple miles of road on Saturday, so we didn't have to call our own staff out to fix this problem. And then he would put the grader away, and we would talk about this on Monday when everyone was a lot calmer. So he was going to do that, and then he called me about a half hour later and said he was getting quite paranoid as he was grading the road, thinking about how this might cost him his job as foreman with the other municipality. And decided that he no longer wished to grade the rest of the road. So his suggestion was that he would put the material back where he found it. So he did. And then he took the grader home. And then he called me a third time, indicating that he had called some of our staff members and apologized to them for his actions. And he had also called his boss at the other municipality to tell him what had happened. And like he said, apparently you already talked to my boss. I said, yes, I did. So we'll take up a bunch of that in camera, but that is what happened. I then heard from the gentleman that owns the grader. He asked that council be aware of some things. His name is Steve Walkenworth. And he asked specifically that council be given all of the text messages he sent me. It's 20 pages. So we're gonna just do some highlights here. So I asked him if he could provide us proof of insurance for his grader. That was my only question, that's all I asked. And he did send over a picture of a quote he got for insurance, but this is not.
He's not the
proof of
sole owner
insurance.
of that grader though, right?
No.
No.
But this is not proof of insurance, this is a quote for insurance. There's no indication he actually bought it. And I said, thank you, and I just left it there. And then he started. So what's that going to do? I truly feel sorry for you guys. You don't bitch when we plow snow, but here we are willing to help you guys out because you are so behind, but seriously, and you got a nice 83 highway to drive all winter long, and we're trying to get this high traffic road fixed up before it freezes, so we don't have to wreck our vehicles all winter. Just let us do this road and I'll pay Ralph to stay home because of the union. Chad Hallischuk said he would come and teach us how to run the grader. Maybe that is so he can tattle on us, I don't know. But now I know why Swan Valley West runs like it does. No one wants to work, and why was Union Ralph on holidays yesterday? That grader should be running 18-hour days. Instead of posting all sorts of useless shit on Facebook, you should jump in a grader. He then sent me photos of somebody else using a private grader on one of our roads, and said, you better go for a drive. I seen this guy grading today. Yikes, you better call the SWAT team. And I said, I don't swear at you. Don't swear at me. He says, to be clear, I didn't swear at you. I said useless shit. Is that swearing at you? Then you have the balls to ask us for help mowing. Go figure. So I said when we were looking for quotes on mowing, it was to help us to catch up and maybe build some bridges with some people. Why are you always stopping us? You were willing to do our part, and some individuals, they want the valley to stay like it was in the 30s. Stop it. So you be a man and let's work together. The road will be a lot better than what it's now, and your concern is safety. I'd be more worried that someone will sue you guys for unsafe roads, but it don't help telling you people nothing. It's a power trip for the people shutting it down today, and And I'll tell you in a nice way, someone like you should never threaten your taxpayer livelihood like you did today. It's the farmers that pay the most taxes to you guys. I've paid taxes on some land, and you guys never grade or plow snow or mow on them. I keep looking at your Facebook to see what story you will write about us today. Can't wait to read it. And I said, we should work together. We should talk to council. You should not be a jerk. Yeah, I was a jerk, just as much as whoever reported us, and we got a good clue. So sorry for being a jerk, but we like nice vehicles. If you want us to drive on roads like we do, then you guys should drive horses and buggy. The minute you hit the Saskatchewan border, the roads are awesome. They got crown on them. Tell Ralph to get ideas on grading from Livingston. Same traffic, so tell us what's the problem. If you don't like our help, then fix it. Why do we gotta put up with this, Bill? Tell us, then maybe we'll understand. Like how you people expect to get food in your bellies if we can't drive on these roads. I'll pick you up sometime, and I'll drive your vehicle, and we'll go for a ride. Deal? Am I any more a jerk than you, how you threaten a taxpayer's job? What we did, no harm to anyone other than the people that don't like progress. I hope you show council every message we are having. And I said, whose job did I threaten? You know, you told the operator he could keep going, but you would report him to his bosses and his job could be lost. That's what he told me. But I've said enough crap tonight. There's just a lot of pissed off people out here now. I'm very upset that we are doing you a favor and you don't appreciate it. But I needed to vent off. So good night. I hate fighting actually. So I hope you pass my messages on to council, the people that ratted us out. Take care and thanks for finally mowing one time before winter. Tim did a nice job out here. And I said, I never threatened Matt's job. And I never did. I never yelled at Matt. I never said he was going to get in trouble. I said, we have a problem. We need to figure out a solution. And we agreed to grade the road. I explained that. He said, please don't cause Matt trouble. Come give us taxpayers shit if anyone. It was a group that asked Matt. And then he went on for quite a while longer. I didn't get any nicer. But there's the Coles Notes version of his view on the grader. So we have some of that to discuss in camera, obviously. On Wednesday, the 22nd of October, Kristi and I were in Benito. We showed the restaurant, which is what's got the cricket proposal tonight. I too attended the G4 meeting. It was entertaining. Back to Friday, the week before, water park training was in Benito. Plate class was out. Trained staff on how to properly winterize the water park, how to use the water park. They're ready to go for spring. I also attended a PMH meeting. That was on Thursday, the 16th of October. That was with the CEO. One of the questions that came up was why a 25-year-old was turned away from the emergency room and later died at home. The CAO perhaps didn't enjoy the question as much as she could have, but we did have a little discussion on that, and she promised she would contact the family and work through the issue. We also talked about the thing I mentioned before with us paying nurses to stay home and not work so they can become nurse practitioners. That morning we had a 2-hour medical recruitment meeting, which, as you can imagine from the earlier reports, was as entertaining as you thought it might be. And on Wednesday, the 15th of October, was when Derek and I were out looking at that landlocked road.
Thanks
So
for
a couple
doing
weeks ago.
that. Thanks for doing that. I've been waiting for that for a while.
And he was very happy we were both there.
Oh,
Just wanted us
he
to
just-
go walk all
He's
the
been
routes and see
asking
it.
for, just like for you and your road for a long time. So thanks for looking into it.
Any discussion on the committee reports tonight? Hearing none, we are going to have a recess for about 10 minutes or so. Once everybody's back, we'll be going in camera. We are discussing some personnel matters tonight. Some preliminary discussions. Oh, we're talking about a grader. And probably some enforcement actions as well. And we will be adjourned until then. Okay, here we go. 13.1, be it resolved that pursuant to section 1523 of the Municipal Act, Council shall meet as a committee to hold a closed meeting and continue discussions in camera regarding personnel matters, negotiations, preliminary discussions, and investigations or enforcement of an act or bylaw. Someone to move the resolution. Councillor Neely and Councillor Kushniryk, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. Coming out of the in-camera portion, we've given direction to staff on a few issues, and we look forward to hearing the results of that. Go to 13.4, resolutions arising from in-camera discussions. Are there any resolutions we wish to present tonight? Hearing nothing. Number 14, notice of motion. Does anyone have a notice of motion to present tonight? Still hearing nothing. Be it resolved that this meeting shall now adjourn at 10:20 p.m. Be it further resolved, the next meeting is Wednesday, November 12th. Wednesday, November 12th at 7 p.m. Is there a mover? Councillor Blosha and Councillor Neely, discussion. We should note that during the meeting, the Blue Jays won the game.
Oh, good.
So the series is now tied. We don't have to wait for 18 innings tonight.
So where is the series now?
Tied
They'll have
2-2.
One more there.
Pardon?
One more in Los
2 and
Angeles.
2.
2 and 2?
Tied 2 and 2.
Yeah, and then one game Los Angeles, 2 in Toronto.
Yeah, they're guaranteed to come home now at least.
That's Wednesday, November 12th.
Yes, the day after Remembrance Day. Those in favor? That's carried. Have a good
And
night,
no
everybody.
tonight.